desktop audio has been totally down. No one's told me for the whole thing. Don't worry, everybody. You guys did not miss much. I had a perfect transition finally, but no one heard anything.
No, I just saw the raining coffee shop.
Yeah, that's it. That's my new background. I made that.
Good, I like it. Maybe
Oh, okay,
someday
you
we
do.
could be sunny though.
Well, I wanted animation, and I was like, "What's this? What's the animation of Sunny?" And I don't know if there is one.
It should be sunshine and rainbows, especially when I go to Florida.
Well, see, rain like falls, right? So you see rain acting. Like on a
Yeah,
sunny day, I look out and nothing's going on. There's
you
no
need like
animation
little
to that
sunbursts or
sunny.
something, a little glimmering.
Oh, that's true. Maybe I did heighten the lights on it. I'm sure this is hilarious for everyone. I put us under comedy today, so people will know that we're joking. Um,
It's all jokes until it's not.
that's right. It's all jokes until you're riding the train.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Man, so what is going on in this crazy market? One, has anyone heard from MDS? Is MDS okay? I'm a little worried. I have not heard from him all day.
I haven't heard from him either.
I did hear that he was hungover though, so I don't know. Maybe that could be a salacious lie though.
Like 3 days later, that must be some kind of
Three
wicked
days.
nasty
It's two
champagne.
days. It's 2 days. Yesterday and then today.
I guess so. Yeah,
Maybe if you, I mean, MDS. He likes to go hard.
that's true. I just try to stay buzzed all the time. That way I don't get a hangover.
Never have to pay for it if you're just continually hungover.
Well, your liver hurts a little bit some days, but no,
Well, the thing,
that's just jokes. I'm only kidding. I don't endorse that behavior.
not at all. I mean, but the thing is, like, you drink good alcohol and you never have to pay for it. You pay for it up front, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
not to say you don't ever have to pay for it, but
yeah.
oh, if
I did
anyone
see
wants
this.
to,
Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, no, you
No,
go ahead.
I did see this thing where like people were putting like uh like semi rail vodka through like a Brita filter, and they were filtering it like 3 times, and it was tasting like Grey Goose. Not that Grey Goose is awesome or anything, but you know they were like quadruple filtering regular vodka
All right,
to
so
make better vodka.
I haven't tried this, so I don't know if the quality is still paramount. However, you can go to Trader Joe's and get the vodka of the gods, and that stuff I've put in a Grey Goose bottle, and no one's ever questioned.
Well, most people can't taste the difference anyway.
That's true.
You know, especially when you're mixing it with some ginger beer or some tonic and lime water and whatever else, or making a mule or something, whatever the deal is. But yeah, 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 you can't
Good
taste
old
the difference.
Moscow.
Moscow Mule, yeah, yeah, or some cheap rum and some ginger beer, make a dark and stormy. That's pretty good. But I digress. We should talk about the market. I didn't have a whole lot of time to look at anything today, so. And yesterday I woke up early thinking it was a regular day and I was all ready to trade, and then I realized it was New Year's Day and there was no trading, and I was like, what an idiot.
Hold on, wait. Did you celebrate New Year's?
Uh, well, slightly, but I mean, I didn't go overboard.
Well, I mean, you didn't. Well, so you didn't go to midnight though,
Yeah,
or
yeah, I
did you?
went to midnight,
Okay.
but I was
Damn.
all excited about
Oh,
trading.
because trading finally was kicking in.
And then, yeah, there was no trading because it was a holiday.
And they were like, crypto for you.
I watched it a little while on the crypto, and then I went back to bed.
So a couple things that I was surprised at because I was watching the market today. Um, you had Spy take a dip after last week. And it's funny because like GME took a hit, IEP did not take a hit. Byron did take a hit, but AMC is surprisingly holding its ground. Like, I mean, it got up to 633 and it's back at 614.
Yeah, I think that $6 range, they're going to have a hard time bringing it down much lower than 550 because people are still looking at it like it's 55 cents a share. I mean, if you're buying it at $10 a share, why wouldn't you buy it at 55 cents a share if you believe in um, the naked short MOAS theorem? Then you would. Why wouldn't you buy more,
Well,
right?
how many shares outstanding now are there? Because there were like something like 5 billion before. And no, I don't know if there were 5 billion. I'm being facetious, but there was like 500 million AMC shares and then like 2 billion ape shares. But then the
Right.
ape shares reverse split like 1 to 100, right?
No, 1 to 10 or something like that. I don't even remember all the drama that happened. I do know there's supposed to be about 200 million outstanding shares right now, but I
Oh,
think
that's
maybe
actually
he just maybe sold some more recently. The thing is, I mean, every share that they could sell right now is, I mean, the shares outstanding is 198 million. The free float's 197.8. So they have about 500,000 outstanding shares that they could sell into the free float, but I don't know how many are available to be issued. I follow it, but I don't follow it that closely anymore. 'Cause I feel like uh, we're not getting the full story. But I'll continue to buy a little here and there when the price is right. Just like I bought some GME today. I thought that was a fair price. I'll continue to play their game.
I will continue to play their game.
Yeah, I like
No,
pinball.
I mean, I think 6 is I mean, I think we'll see 7 before February at least.
I
Right?
think we'll
That's at
see
least my
7
bet.
before we see 5. So
I agree.
that's a bonus. I mean, there's a whole lot of arguing and fighting with that right now between different sides of the coin on there on AMC, and it's difficult to try to weed out who may have good intentions and who may have bad intentions. I don't know. I don't invest that much energy in all of the drama of AMC at all anymore. I just when I see a good price, I'll buy some because I think that ultimately, whether that guy's has good intentions or bad intentions, the way he's selling shares is they're going to be out of debt soon. They'll be paying debt down. So it looks good for that on the books. That's just my opinion of that. I'm not telling anyone to buy AMC or sell it or do whatever. I mean, this is free country. You can do whatever you want with your own money. Go buy dirty socks if you want. It's none of my business.
Why dirty socks?
I mean, because
What?
they're nearly useless. But if that's what you want to do with your money, then go do that with your money. All right. That's why I say dirty socks. But there was a couple I was thinking about today. I wasn't really watching them, but I was thinking about them. Um, uh,
What
I was
about
watching that
oh,
SPPP again, and that dropped down again. So that's that physical platinum and palladium stock that we were talking about, and that one is
it's SPY. PP what?
SPPP.
Three
S and
P's.
S and
Okay.
three P's. Yep. And its 52-week low is $9.06, and it dropped below $10 today at $9.94. Now, I would have to do a little more research on it to see if they're actually what their total assets are, or um, are they selling palladium and platinum and they're not really buying it right now, or they're not really getting as much? If they're having a hard time resourcing the platinum and palladium, they do have people to buy it and they don't have anywhere to get it. Or I have to do a little more research on that. But I mean, if something's nearing its 52-week low, it's beat up pretty bad on something that typically, is okay. I mean, a year ago it was trading at 13.90. I mean, that doesn't seem like a whole lot of money, but if if you if you buy 10 shares and it goes back up to its 1 year high-ish, you're still up $40. If you buy 100, it's 400, So it's not a squeeze or anything like that, but it's a physical platinum and palladium stock. And the CAF, the Pacer US small caps, it continues to hold its ground and raise a little bit, which is pretty impressive. Up 35% on the year, although it may have reached its max. But over the last 5 years, it's gone consistently gone up. It's up 122% over the last 5 years. Now, I don't know how long that can hold out, if it can continue to run, but uh, the, that's CALF, calf. If anyone wants to look at that one, I'm keeping my eye on that, looking for a good entry. What else came back? Well, I did look
That was CALF.
a fund that buys small caps.
Hold on. CALF was the other one you mentioned.
CAF, yes, CALF. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and I'm not saying that I'm doing anything either. What I'm telling everyone is that I'm looking at them to doing a little more research on them to see what's going on, and to see if I think that calf can hold and continue to go up, or if the calf is uh, reached its maximum and it'll probably level out and then drop, or what the case may be. I'm just going to keep an eye on it.
Nice, man. I like how you came in talking about some palladium stock and then surfed them with his intrinsic value ears just perked up and was like, okay, I have something to speak about boomer investing. What's going on, Surfdom?
What's up, guys? No,
Not
I
too
like
much,
that.
man.
I like that play. I think it's in like an undervalued market that's going to be getting pinched off here by logistic issues. And, like there's not too many mining companies here in the United States that like effectively cut through like all the red tape, right? And if they have, they're up for a year and then kind of, you know, next, they've kind of had their hype and they're gone. So, but
I'm
yeah.
actually banking on that new chip manufacturing plant in the United States.
And
So I'm
was that
watching. Yeah, I'm watching it
and
for a good entry point, but I'm banking on them having the palladium and the platinum to supply the
yeah,
the new chip plant. I mean, where's it supposed to be? Arizona or New Mexico or something? I'm
yeah,
not
what it's at Nvidia and AMD are both looking at moving to the area.
correct.
All right. Yeah,
It would be
that
much cheaper if those resources are already here in the United States, pre-purchased. I mean, it would benefit them even if they paid 150% over face value just to not have any logistics or supply issues,
Well, and
which has been
sometimes
a problem.
these companies got enough money to kind of open up the floodgates a little bit too. Like I think NVIDIA posted like one of its largest earnings that's projected it up even further, and AMD is kind of doing the same thing as well. And you throw enough money at something, eventually something opens up, and they might be able to logistically bring more here than just chips and raw materials as well.
Well, it's also used in. I mean, we talked about this the other day. How it's used in automotive toxin removal and catalytic converters, and has other. It's used in some industrial plants too when they exhaust their waste gases. Those baffles or exhaust baffles are lined with palladium and palladium specifically, I think. So they're not getting any easier on the environmental protection, that's for sure. So, and rightfully so. We don't want to poison the earth. So I did get some hoods, sir. Thanks for that one. I'm
on that
down
on
on
that
that already.
on that dip, you bought at the top.
No, I'm not. I'm only down like a nickel or something like that. It's all
I
right.
I told you I bought puts.
No, I think it'll go up.
It's looking kind of iffy, right? And I was getting kind of nervous in the last week, and I was telling MBS this. I'm like, it's not doing what I want. But thanks to last week's close and today's open, some tax harvesting, it's helped me out a little bit on them. So I'm out till February on those puts. So the overall engulfing trend looks a little bearish to me, but it could break right back up.
I'm
And
at 12.55 on that, so it's not
yeah,
the end of the world. I only bought a little bit so I could watch it,
yeah.
keep an eye on it. I did throw out alt this morning to anyone who's in the group, and I only threw alt because I already had some alt to watch it. I've been trading it back and forth when it goes down to like 8.5 cents a share, and then like this morning jumped up to like 10.42 or yeah 10.42 1,000ths of a cent, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it doesn't cost a lot to buy a whole bunch of it. And if you can make 2 or 3 cents per share on 30,000 shares, I mean that's more than most people make in a day. So at their job,
I I
if you
like the
can do that
looks
in
of
free
the
market.
line. I like the looks of the line on that. It's like this slow, dragged out curvature, and it's just flat.
Well, the funny thing with that is they had announced a shareholder meeting that was to be held on the 28th, right? And they were voting on like reverse split and other stuff like that because it's going to reverse split at 8 cents. I mean, or 10 cents. It's just it can't handle that much longer. But they didn't receive enough votes to get a quorum.
Oh, we'll see where their proxy comes in.
Well, they're going. It failed.
Yeah,
They failed to get their quorum, so they rescheduled another meeting for the 12th. So if the people who really want the reverse split or really want that stuff, I voted no on everything because I'm like, fuck it, whatever. No,
yeah,
no means no until you make some money. I mean, and it doesn't lose a whole lot of money, but they need to do better.
yeah.
But so I just voted no on everything. When actually I probably should have just abstained like everybody else did. Who I think that's a concept that some of us in some of these ape stocks, that meme stocks, whatever you want to call them, that we need to think about also. Where what if nobody voted? If you own 80% of something and they need a 50% quorum to pass any of their measures on the proxy, then if nobody votes, then they'll
Yeah,
never get their quorum, and they'll
that
have
would
to
be
continue to kick that can down the road until they actually do something that is beneficial to the people that own the quorum.
that would be odd for sure.
Well, it happened. Yeah, that happened at Alt AULT. They had to postpone their meeting again until the 12th. In which point, I think someone will come in, or a couple people will come in, and they'll want to pass whatever it is they're trying to pass, and they'll have to run the price up a little bit to get people to sell because there aren't any shares to sell. So they'll have to buy them on the open market, which could potentially run the price up. It's odd price action on that one. It has been for about a month and a half now.
It's just so flat, like something's gonna break loose. Whether the RS gets approved and you see your little dip and rip, that's been something that's been going on lately. We've seen that a few times in the last week or two. Yeah, I don't know what to think about it, but I'm gonna definitely keep an eyes on it for sure.
Yeah, I don't pretend to have all the answers. I just know that you know, that something has to happen.
Yeah, it can't flatline like that forever and not have some type of uptick.
Well, that they need the votes,
Yeah,
and they were well short. They only got like 38% of the shares to vote, and they need 51% to do anything. So that's quite as they need to run it probably up into the 18, 19, 20 cent range if they plan on buying those shares from people who just aren't selling because it's been beat down from like $5, $6, $8 or whatever it was. Those people aren't selling, and they're not voting now either. They just forgot about it. They're like, fuck it. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're playing the game. I'll play that game too. See what happens. I like those games.
I think
Well,
the pipe swingers is probably the more
They
interesting
the,
application.
I don't have that many, and I don't have that many shares, but I have enough where if it ran up to 20 cents, that would be a pretty good week for me. You know, not as good as CDU or TTOO, but it would be a good week.
CDU is pretty good if you were. I mean, here's the thing: if you were a long-term holder of CDU, it sucked, right? But if you
Yeah.
were a long-term holder of CDU and you were averaged in at about what the reverse split price was, you did pretty well, at least in those first like day, right?
So the funny thing is, when CDU did the reverse split, my average was like 7 cents, right? And then they dumped it all the way back down again to like I don't. I'll tell you in a second. But it was too easy. Uh, it was too cheap after the reverse split to not try and buy some to get that average down, and that's what I did. And I already had a substantial amount. So then after the reverse split, they it was at like $3.20 some.
Hold on. Oh, I'm talking CDU. What are you talking about?
Yeah, CDU.
CDU was not $3 after, or is this the prior reverse split?
No, no. This is on 12/20. What was it? 325 or something like that. I can tell you because I can go back and tell you what I paid
Well,
for it.
it's all messed up. What was the reverse split? Was it 100?
It was 100 to 1. Yeah,
Because I could have swore it was. I had it down, I guess, to 8 cents. Then,
yeah. Well, on the
well,
19th at 4 cents, uh, I
you
bought
know,
95,000 shares. So I mean that helped me out big time. But yeah, it
yeah.
dropped down to 327.
Yeah, I must have had a higher average and then bought a bunch around there because I know my average is about 850 right now, and I sold most of it because it ran, to that obscene like 16.
Yeah, well, you have to 100%. You have to take some profits.
Yeah, right. You got to
Yeah, I
take
mean
some out of
that's.
the top.
I'm not a financial advisor, but when you loan somebody $100 and they come back with $200, yeah, you have to take it. And then maybe you loan them 100 back out again. I mean, that's up to you, but I'm just saying. I mean, that was ridiculousness.
I'm interested to look at like the short interest after that run and see how much covering went into all that volume, because that was a pretty massive run.
It was there was a lot of shares being exchanged.
Yeah.
Well, and a volatile run too.
Yeah.
Like that probably should have hit like 25.50 if they didn't pull their shit.
Yeah, they
Well, yeah,
halted
they
it
played
like
their game.
7 times.
Yeah, someone shorted big time for a loss. They had purchased a bunch of shares and then dumped it back down, and they took like a $2 loss on each share that they bought that day. But they had to stop it at 15. They were getting panicked. And you could see it. I mean, and then it continued to skirt back up again. And that was when I think I DM'd you, get ready, here it goes again. And it did. It went back up to 15
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it'll pull back, you'll see some selling, and then it tries to retest it again and see if they can blow it up.
Well,
They almost did. Like it should have ran really hard. They halted that thing. I mean, every time I looked at it, it was halted.
it was
Oh
halted
god,
5 times in an hour or something.
god! One time I literally watched it. It went 12.50, went all the way up to like 15.50, came through with a flash order for 12.50, and they halted it.
Yeah.
And it was like Mark was saying that's like one of the things they'll do. They'll have a deal where they're like, okay, well we'll buy this off of you for 12.50, even though the price is 14.
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah,
trigger the circuit breaker on purpose.
it reminds me a lot of like Cosmo when that happened. What was that last year and a half ago?
Yeah. Well,
When
as much as
it
we
had
hate
a
their guts, they know what they're doing.
yeah.
They know exactly what the 15% is, or the 20% that they need to get that third circuit breaker in the second half of the hour. They know exactly what they need to do. I mean, they have a computer. The computer does it. But it could have been a staged run up too, to chase some people out. Because it's not like it's a bullshit company. It's just beat to hell. And I think maybe it was a Coom like a couple weeks ago was asking me about how I pick some of these things or how I look for them, and that's part of it. When you see someone that or a company that actually has products and they have engagements or arrangements or contracts with the government and other large companies, and they have arrangements with like SpaceX to put a satellite up on their next launch. I mean, that's like a company that's trying to do stuff and they're doing things, but for some reason they're getting beat down. And I think MDS was the one that said it's probably that iconic that they borrowed money from. That then they are using those shares that they had warrants for, or those warrants to short it down because they knew they had the warrants to cover any short action that they were going to do. So and that may have been them that ran it up to try and get a to try and exercise those warrants and then to sell it into the market. I mean, if your warrants at $10 and you're hurting for money or whatever, and you can run it to $15. I mean, that's a 50% profit. Even though that day it went up, I think the max it went up to was like 246%, which was just ridiculous for no real news.
God, and I was looking at it that morning thinking maybe I should buy some, and I didn't. I should have. I should have bought more.
Yeah. When I'm thinking that about three things all the time, and I always buy the wrong one.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I always double down on well, not always, but I double down on the wrong one in the morning sometimes. And then that day specifically, that next time I'll just cut it all in thirds and I'll buy them all, I guess.
I don't know. I've been loading up on HP. What is this? HPCO. Not something I would recommend anyone do. This is more.
Hempaco.
That's right. I'm trying to get out of this play. So
It's due for a little pump.
I know, and so I got in. I'm down to average cost of about 37.54.
That's pretty
So
good.
yeah, no, and we're almost there. I'm almost at even. I would love to get away with a little profit. I'd love to see like a jump to like 45, but you never know.
That's one of those ones that people get excited about when they hear the news. Um, and it can do 100%. So it could run. It could run to 68 tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just saying they come out with some kind of little PR that all they have to do is throw in Snoop Dogg, like they did that one day, and it went up 150% or 100% or whatever it was.
Well, the problem is that like there's no volume in this stock, right? And
Yeah.
I actually kind of like the underlying product, right? They sell basically like a hemp cigarette, and so it's not tobacco, it's not THC. It's all kind of CBD, but it's basically you can like use that supposedly to maybe help you, instead of smoking a cigarette, maybe you'll smoke one of these, and maybe that um, mimicking trait will at least make you a little bit healthier. And then of course CBD, does have some benefits. You're still smoking, but
And
if
they
you're
they
trying to
did
kick
just
tobacco,
they did just expand into India and the Asian market also.
Well, and what I like
That
about it too is because it's hemp, you can sell that in all 50 states. Like you
Yeah.
don't need any regulation right now.
No, not right now. You don't. But I don't know if it's more medicinal or if it's like made to get you high. So
Well, I mean they can't, right? I mean maybe they can try to pitch it that way, but
yeah,
I think it's more of like a health benefit, kind of
yeah.
like tobacco alternative kind of thing.
Does it have nicotine in it?
I don't think so.
I don't
Okay.
believe so. But
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
think
So
I think the second time it ran up, they announced that they had gone into Mexico, uh, uh, had assigned a Mexican distributor for the entire country of Mexico, and then the last time it ran up was when they said that it had expanded into India and they were working on Asia. And in Asia, smoking's still real big. Not like it is here, where everything smoking anything is looked down upon or whatever. But uh, in Asia, it's nothing.
okay, I'm getting a little less bullish on this as I look at their site. I mean, it looks like something you can make off of like whatever. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's all right. It's it's better than Vinco Ventures, I can tell you that much.
Currently,
Currently, and before, really, and before. But okay, so it looks like they've got vending machines, co-partnership branding, like we saw with Snoop Dogg, distributing a nearly $1 trillion industry. That makes me worried. Why are you trying to sell? Like, tell me how much market share you're gonna get before you tell me how large the fucking market is, right? Um,
well, if they get 5% of $1 trillion, I can deal with that, right?
okay, but all right, but what did they? Okay, there we go. Okay, so they sell the real stuff. Oh, it's 0.3 THC or less. Is their in-house brand. Well, tell me more about this. They don't have anything for their. All right, what's their? They have a space for technology. Oh, in-house hemp cigarette manufacturing. So they set up a cigarette machine with hemp.
That's what it sounds like to me. Like I said, for me it was kind of like I was playing the pump and dump, and then I got caught, and then I did a little more research into it. I'm like, well, this has potential. Snoop Dogg doesn't lose much money, so anything with Snoop's name on it does pretty well. That dude could sell potato chips and make $1 billion. I mean, so his name on stuff is a good thing. And for them to expand into Mexico and then Asia and then India, it may take you know 2 or 3 quarters for them to get any kind of results on that. It's not
All
going to
right,
be immediate.
all right. So they can produce thousands of hemp cigarettes a day. That doesn't really sound like a lot to me, like for cigarettes. You know what I mean? So let's see hemp cigarettes. Let's see what the internet values hemp cigarettes as.
I think some of it has to do with the cost of the product too. Like, I mean, if it costs $20 in a vending machine, I mean, that's like what in Asia typically they sell 10 cigarettes per pack, not 20. They sell little mini packs. So maybe you get 10 for $10 or 10 for $20 or I don't know, whatever. But what is their profit margin and things like it all comes into play, and I don't have all the answers.
Well, no, but that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to look up a place that'll actually give me a price on these hemp cigarettes, but they like everyone. Oh, here we go. Like 12. Okay, so this one's like 13. Looks like a pack of 20. Like 13 on these brands. Right. So what you're playing? So 13. Let's call it even. Divide that by 20. Talking about 65 cents per. Divide that
If they're
by.
selling for 65 cents per, that probably only costs them about a nickel to make.
So if they can make thousands in this facility, they have the ability to make like, all right, 650 per
5 cartons a
thousand.
day.
Like, all right, but that's like, so they can make like $650 total revenue per day. Like, even at 5 times. So what? They're making 3,250 per day. I guess that's a little more of a business, but it's
Is
not
this
necessarily like,
is this Pink Sheets?
is this pink sheet?
No, it's on the Nasdaq, I think.
It's like a little shack with like five hippies in there just hand rolling.
No, I think their manufacturing and distribution was what expanded to Mexico, so they could lower their costs. Yeah, no,
Even
it's on the
still,
Nasdaq.
I could, okay, for thousands a day, I could like probably roll that many in a day, just on my own, especially with the machines that they have. Like that's not a, we're not talking about a high tech factory here. We're talking about like, Cuba back in the day
Like a little
with
hemp
those
shop is
metal,
what you're
with those,
talking about.
yeah, like with those metal rolling machines. Except all these douchebags use are like, you know, oh, they're like these machines that basically have cones. I don't know if this is what they're using, because it does look like they have more of a cigarette machine. I mean, even cigarette machines are not that expensive. So
No,
I mean,
the holdup could be the extraction of the cannabinoid oil itself, right? So they can only extract so much cannabinoid oil, and then they use that to turn it into cigarettes, obviously. But at 0.3 milligrams per cigarette, I mean, it may be a byproduct of something else, and they're just buying the byproducts of someone else's manufacturing process.
well, I think what they're doing, I think they have a field of hemp, right? And they're growing hemp, and then they, take the hemp down. Hemp doesn't have as good of a flower. Um, but it still has one, and they're probably mothers are, engineered more for CBD and growing hemp, so that
Would it
and then they're just rolling that up, and I mean, whatever number they're giving you is like what fits in that cigarette, and will legally put them in the limit.
what's your guys' like suspicion that the feds are gonna try to move to push more states towards federally legal? Because I think what is it, like 26 states? It's consumer legal, retail legal now for marijuana use.
Well, it'll be legal in all 50 states soon, and then the federal government will have to uh, concede and tax it.
Right.
If they want to get ahead of the curve, they just legalize it now and then start taxing it at you know 8% or something like that.
My perspective is that they're a little slow to get it going, but each state that I've seen. Like I live in a state where it's cannabis friendly, and I've seen like once it's done, and it's income directly to the state. Like I can't even remember the amount of revenue that they make off of taxes alone, but it's substantial.
Well, Missouri legalized it also. I mean, they got a freaking drive-through by my house.
That
I mean,
sounds
it's like
nice.
Wendy's and shit, you know? That's how accessible it is.
That's a
And there's
perfect
people
place.
waiting in line before it opens.
Like a Kentucky Bell, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell next, and then like the hemp shop right next door.
Yeah, I think it's actually in an old Pizza Hut. That's how funny it is. But no, it may take a while. I don't know. You're not in too deep, are you, Captain?
No, not at all. And my average
Yeah.
cost is like really close to where it is. I mean, I think we are going to see some upside. Um, sometime. You never know when it'll be. Because you're right. It'll run 200%. It's not a huge position that I have in there. No, it's more like I'm just seeing an opportunity right now, but that could take a long time. And the more I learn about this company, the less I like, I will tell you.
I'm not in love with it either, but I don't think it has a real high float as well. So the
So
That is,
float,
like, how are you guys kind of like pinning your plays coming into like the election year? Are you doing anything different this year compared to what you would be doing, or just kind of keep doing the same thing?
I'm not. I just wing it all the time. So
Yeah.
and pray for forgiveness.
it's a very kung fu thing. Like, I mean, so it like you match it, I mean, because each of my positions, it's like, how much GD do I want to do? And how long do I want to be in this play? Like, because I mean, a lot of the plays that I'm in, especially that I talk about, are very sentiment based. So it's either I judge the sentiment that's either online or the sentiment that's in the ticker itself, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, long-term holders can be a sentiment as well. I would say GME. I think that there's a definite line at the $10 mark or $40 pre-split mark where the original holders of GME will just not let it go below that. And I think we've seen that proven time and time again, even post the sneeze. We had that like 2 week period where it got down to like the 50s and it was getting close to the 40s, but it never broke $40. And I think that's like a major line. Kind of like Mark was saying with a popcorn right now. He thinks that popcorn, guys pre-split are looking at it like 50 cents. They all want to bring down their average right now if you're a long-term holder. Um, and so there
Yeah.
is that wall of resistance somewhere. We can theorize where that wall is. So, I mean, am I doing new things? I'm trying to concentrate more on my liquidity and keeping that flowing in different plays, but besides that, and not necessarily holding long term.
What your charge point puts expire this Friday?
My which ones?
Your charge point?
Oh, you want to talk about all of my bad timing? So I
No,
am. No, that's one thing.
I think you might be able to like hit it. It looks like it's gonna break in the next couple days.
No,
Like
you
that.
want to talk about my bad timing today because today I watched ChargePoint all day, and my thesis at the beginning of the day was, let's see where it is at 12 o'clock, and at 12 o'clock that will make the decision. However, at about 11:30, maybe it was 12 o'clock, but it was basically right before it took that dip today, and it was hovering around the 225, 26. It was like I literally sold and it went 26. Um, or I'm sorry, 26 was the how much I took off the table. But it was in
Yeah.
that, like, I think that it was 226 as well, 225. It's hovering there. I
So
finally,
you
I,
melted them today?
yeah, well, I took profits and then I watched it fall for the rest of the day when I could have made like, I made like a
That's
good
killer.
20% and I could have made a good 50%.
That's how it goes, man. Like sometimes you just gotta just take it, even if it's small, you know. Just like because like timing volatility and implied volatility, like I've got $13 puts on Hood. It's below $13, but my implied volatility was so high that they haven't broke even yet. And it's like, all right, well, maybe they keep pushing down, but then we got guys like Mark keeps buying the market back up on me.
Well, dude, AMC as well. I mean, I think I'm in my AMC calls. My average cost is it's pitiful right now because I got in at around the 620 area, um, and then averaged down a little bit last week. I'm in at 98 cents, and currently I think it's 82. So I mean, it's a good 16% drop, and
Yeah.
but AMC hasn't broken any levels that I want to like. Whereas today we saw a lot of levels breaking. We saw, charge point. We saw GME. I mean, GME's back down to 1667, and it's not a flash crash.
Yeah, it kind of
Um,
looks like they ran up their selling towards the end of the year, last Friday, and then people are grabbing their tax loss harvesting like first thing in the year and rebalancing. And I think I'm gonna have to like see out into like the next week or two, kind of see where things are settling out. But I kind of have like an underlying feeling that some things are gonna move a little better that has been kind of beat up, kind of like what Mark likes to look for. Just stuff that's just chewed up. There's not really a rhyme or reason for it other than they just like shorting it. And I've got I don't know. I'm trying to do like this trifecta, right? So I'm looking for value, I'm looking for growth, and I'm also looking for dividend. So in either direction, you're kind of gaining. Like, okay, so growth, you could talk like tech stocks. I think a lot of tech stocks are kind of showing a lot of signs of like exhaustion, like Nvidia, AMD, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. They all kind of like have kind of just slowed down a little bit. Um, or I mean, or vice versa, they could rocket right back up. Like the shorts don't kick in, and they they push these things up another 10-15%. But there's a lot of companies, like especially like small caps, medium caps, that have some pretty good book value, but then they're sitting down low compared to like their book value. And so I'm gonna focus on a few, and maybe in the next week or the next couple weeks, I'll give them a good mention. I'm definitely keeping eyes on a few companies for some like long term like common plays. Just hold on to it and see what happens.
Well, look at it this way, and I'm not trying to harp on the Sea-Doo thing, but uh, Sea-Doo, like a year ago, the value or the cost average for somebody who bought it like a year ago was like $131. Even with that run up to $15, is that person going to sell? No, they're not. I'll answer that for you. They're not going to sell,
just in
right?
case you were going to answer, the answer is actually no.
Yeah, no one's going to take that loss. They'll just sit there and watch it and forget about it. And not to mention that something serious happened the other day, like you said, because the cost to borrow that I think is like 600% now. So nobody is
Oh, wait
loaning
a
their
minute.
shares out.
Wait, is it really?
I mean, if you even Weeble says it's like 639, but I saw like
Hold on.
500 somewhere else, and I saw like I think the iBorrow desk said. Let me see. I'll look it up real quick.
Oh, and there's no options right now. This is why. This is
No,
probably,
it's a
I mean,
very odd situation with that.
Ooh, look at that weekly.
Like, so right now, the iBorrow desk says that you can borrow 200 shares at 7.4%, and that's it. And the last time that was updated was on the 27th. So you can go ahead and imagine that there's no shares to borrow. Maybe they return some today. It looks like someone shorted it at like $12, and then they bought some today and made $5 a share, or whatever the case is. But the Weeble says that it's hard to borrow, and the cost to borrow on it is 639%. The maintenance requirement is 300%. So short selling fee rate 639.18. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, you might get another nice little volatility pop at it. What did it pull back to? Like $7, $6?
Just under 7. Yeah, I think it's at
Interesting.
$6.97. It hit 691 today, and believe me, I was looking at it, and I almost pulled the trigger on it again. But I feel like there's more money to be made in this, but they're gonna short it down. They're looking to get it down to like $4 or $5 again. They bring it down to $4. I have money that I can put in there, because they're going to launch that satellite sooner or later, and they're going to announce that, and who knows what happens after that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still holding some Sea-Doo. Not a lot, but holding a little. I'm watching. I'm
Well,
watching.
I still have some also, but I did pretty well the other day.
I did pretty well as well. For the position that I had, I mean, I didn't have a ton anyways, but yeah, for the shit that I had, I definitely. You know
I
what?
think I think
Actually,
what's
served
messing
them.
me up, I kept
Hold on.
looking for Sea-Doo.
Right, I see you. But serfdom actually, one of the things I guess I'm going for this year is I'm going to increase the profits that I take. Because usually I will end up not taking a profit and leaving too much on the table without taking enough. And so I'll pay myself, but I'm not like necessarily paying myself. I'm paying myself back. I'm not necessarily paying myself forward. And I mean, so I'm gonna that's one thing I am definitely gonna concentrate this year.
It's easier on commons than it is on options. It's easier on commons to watch some profits go bye-byes, and you just sit there in the conviction that I've done the right thing here. I'm sitting at a good number. I just have to wait a little longer. That's tougher on options, because the whole they could sink the ship in a day.
Yeah,
Well,
it
what
doesn't take much volatility to just totally chew your options play away. I mean, 15 minutes with the right candle.
No, and I'll tell you, like the worst thing that happened to me last year was I hit GNS just right. I had options. I was like 400% up, but I just thought it was gonna keep going. So I didn't sell them I sold some at 400%, but I didn't sell enough, in my opinion,
Yeah.
looking
If
back, because I
if
was
I
like,
got
oh, it's gonna keep going.
I'm gonna tell you a little trick. And this is how I kind of scale down and I scale up and I look at things. For me, what helped my option plays. So if like I'm bullish on something and it takes that spike, that day you see that spike, go in there and screw every chart, go right down to the minute chart and watch how it's trading. And if you're seeing bull flags on the minute chart and they're breaking through, they're breaking through, they're breaking through, it's gonna go. But on that minute chart, if it starts getting pretty bearish, that's usually your first kick to kind of get out, because that'll push into your 5 minute, that'll push into your 10 minute, and then that half hour to hour window is like, okay, like, am I gonna hold these to tomorrow? Or did I see the pop that I'm gonna see? I'm up 2, 3, 400%. And I started doing that with myself, because every time I used to do that all the time. I'd be up 200, 300%, and I'm looking at the wrong chart. I'm scaling out on like a 2 hour chart when I probably should have been kind of zooming in on it and really watching what's going on with the volumes. Because on minute charts, you can see a lot of movement very quickly, and it's usually on something that's trading really hot, like CD was the other day. And that might help you out a little bit on like kind of trying to decide to sell. I don't know how much of you are as like a chart guy.
No, I definitely am. I am boning up on my chart skills, although I mean, because I don't have a lot of time to concentrate on it, so I much more. My game right now is like, and I've definitely gotten better over GNS because I mean I usually give myself enough theta that I'm not like too worried about what
Yeah.
theta is, and I'm much more worried about what price point that I think it'll hit, judging by what the chart is telling me.
Right.
So I mean it is. I can probably button it up, and I think I'm definitely going to start looking at the minute charts once
When
I'm on that
another
euphoric, high.
Yeah, right. When another thing that really helps is watch stuff that's running, like parabolic. Like go in the morning and when market opens, like it's what 6:30 for us in the morning. Go in there and then right away on like Webull or whatever, look at something that's taking the most volume that day and just watch it. And watch what these like market makers do. Watch how many times they halt it. Watch, you kind of learn like their dirty tricks by watching like other stuff run. That's why I enjoy watching, something that's going because it gives you a lot of hints to how you can trade that atmosphere when it's there.
100%. They'll teach you how to set limits. Sorry, Miggy.
Well, I was gonna say that's what I did with Quintera the other morning, and I didn't get caught holding a bag or anything. I mean, I have some shares left, but I didn't get caught badly. But and I should have what I should have done was I went in the morning, like you said, I watched something go up substantially. I'll give you the ticker, and you guys can look at it the other day. What was that? KNTRA or KNTR or something like that. KTRA.
KTRA. Yeah,
Quintera Therapeutics.
I think I was watching it. I think I messaged you that morning. Was
Yeah.
it that ticker or a different one?
I was in that dude like first thing in the morning, like 3:30, and
Yeah.
I got in at like 30 cents, and then I got out at like 47.5 cents. I got rid of half of it,
Yeah.
but then it crashed really bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
they do that.
I don't even know what this freaking company does, and I didn't even bother doing any DD on it. Like I don't do lots of times in pre-market. I'm just playing the pattern or the momentum of it. Uh,
Yeah.
but
I kind of like momentum scalping. Like I you know, it, you talking about getting up so early in the morning. I was like sick for a week. And I'm like, you know what? I could probably get up early in the morning and check the market and try a little tactic. Watching like free volume that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it helped me out a lot. Like, so thanks for that little tactic. Like finding some momentum and watching it, and then deciding to scale in and scale out.
I didn't even know anything about pre-market until I mean, you remember the red box nonsense?
Yeah,
Like I had like some red box, and then I watched it all the drama on Twitter or whatever, and then I bought some in pre-market one morning, and that shit was like off the chain. It went from like $7 or something like that to like $23, and I dumped it all, and I like made a whole bunch, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And then of course the next day you think that you can do it again, and I probably lost it all or half of it or whatever, but uh, that's how that's when I started to watch pre-market pretty closely. And
yeah. I had
the spreads are greater, because there aren't that as many people buying and selling. Uh, and I feel like there's some like tests that go on in pre-market, like test squeezes and to check buying pressure, to check selling pressure. I feel like the computers or the people are actually running some tests during pre-market to see what will happen. Like if I'm trying to
Exactly.
pump something and I can partially pump it in pre-market and see what happens, then I can give myself an idea. What do I do next Thursday morning, right when the market opens, or what do I do next Thursday at lunchtime, right after that little lunchtime lull, and then I'll just start buying it up, and I'll get everyone else to FOMO in, or they'll get everyone else to FOMO in, and then they'll dump it on you, or it'll continue
Yeah.
to go up.
Yeah, and if the volume's there, I mean, if you're watching the tape and you can't even see what the numbers on the screen, it's moving. It's hot. I love finding charts like that where you look at the ticker and I mean I'll watch on Webull. I got like 40 spaces for the ticker tape, and sometimes the whole page just fills up and then it disappears and the next page fills up. It's all red, and the next page fills up and it's solid green. It's like, oh shit. All right, this thing's gonna run. But pre-market, sifting through pre-market is a really good tactic, and even after hours too. Sometimes these companies uh, release stuff. I'm kind of keeping my eye on a lot of like biopharmaceuticals. Is usually in the beginning of the year they get a lot of their bonding and um,
Grants.
grants, and biofarms have been kind of beat to shit. So there's a few that I'm kind of watching, and then I'm going back to book value and kind of trying to weigh like, okay, this thing's $10 away from its book value on the leaner side. You know, when is this liquidity event going to come through? And
Or how
it
much
usually
longer can they continue to beat it down before they get a little PR?
right, and one that I really like and I mentioned was uh, Warner Brothers. Their book value is substantially higher than their current price. And Warner Brothers has been kind of doing this teetering thing. I think they sold some of their streaming rights to Netflix, but Warner Brothers has been there for a long time. But their book value is $18.37, and it's sitting at $11 right now. And that's to me that just looks like kind of like a beat up company. And
It hit
I've
$12 today.
I know it looked really nice.
Yeah.
So I long that for the year. I like AT&T. Their book value isn't there, but AT&T sometimes does a decent job, and it's a dividend stock. So I'm a little worried that their dividend might be a little higher than what they're actually trying to do. So there might be a reduction on the dividend, but dividends kind of help hedge your movements as well.
Yeah, if you're getting 60 cents or 30 cents every 3 months or every whatever it is, you
Yeah,
can you can add that in.
yeah, and it depends on how heavy you like to go in. I still like MDS's idea on Starbucks, but it's in a touchy spot right now. I didn't get a single thing back from him today. I wonder if he just slept all day.
I know. That's what I was saying. I think he did. I think he was messaging in the morning because I believe I saw something. I think he said something about being green, and then I haven't heard from him all day.
He just sold it all.
Oh, on a different note, that Dish EcoSmart or
Right.
EcoSmart Dish is going to be delisted.
Yeah. No, which was weird because when we were going through all that the other day,
I
what
could
was
have
that?
swore. I could have swore they said 2 point whatever shares of Dish, but yeah, today
And
I woke up with the Echo whatever.
yeah, I was reading through it and I was like, I don't know if he's exactly right on that. So I went in pre-market and bought, I don't know, like 30, 40 shares. and they closed red today, but they jumped up like 5%.
I
Right,
still have
right.
Dish
You haven't even gotten.
on
What?
Weeble. I still have Dish. I didn't check. I don't have any. I don't have any on my other one. Maybe
You have
Fidelity.
Dish?
Yeah. I still have Dish right now.
Those are pretty
Oh my,
valuable shares, buddy.
that's crazy. I mean, because I got my shares, and what was crazy about it was that, I mean, what did it open at this morning, Serfdom?
Mm. Yeah, give me a sec. I'll have to go back.
Dish opened at 5:25.
Wow, because I mean, this
Or no, it
opened,
wasn't trading this morning. That's yesterday. Or that's last Friday.
yeah,
It wasn't trading this morning.
yeah. Oh, so then the sell-off today must have been people getting their shares.
Yeah.
Because mine says this stock has been delisted and is not available for trading underneath it. And on my list of things that I own on Webull, it still has Dish.
But you don't have any
I don't have
stats.
STAT.
I'll tell you. Yeah,
SATS.
I'll tell you. Webull always lags for some reason. They lag on their dividend stuff. They lag on like conversions and CRISPR numbers.
Yeah, but today was the day to take profit on that. Like, if you were holding Dish into this merger, I
Mm-hmm.
would. I mean, I'm worried. I mean, maybe not. Maybe there'll be a springback when people get their shares on Webull.
Well, Webull's mad at me right now because I made a substantial withdrawal on Friday. So they're probably like, "Fuck you! You get Dish, and you can eat that shit until it's $1 a piece, and you can go fuck yourself because we're tired of paying you."
And
But
Mark says, "Fine, I'll average down till I'm at $1, and I'll sell at 4, you dicks."
yeah, that's her. So you know what I say? Fine, fuck you, pay me anyway.
Scoop up the cheap shares that I fucking sell off.
Yep, that's
Oh
what I'll
man.
Well,
do.
I mean, and you know what? I could be wrong because tomorrow, I mean, with that knowledge that they haven't all gone out yet, it could be bumpy waters right now.
I'm gonna hold it to Friday because after like a couple weeks debacle, I gotta let everything clear so I don't get myself in trouble again. But yeah, I'm gonna hold that
Oh,
one. Yeah,
sorry.
get getting for anybody that doesn't know, if you day trade too much, you get flagged as a pattern day trader. You do get one reset per your account unless you meet margin, which is $25,000, to reset that one brokerage one time in your entire lifetime. So, fun thing I had to learn on accident.
And then what? They don't
And
want your money anymore?
well, if they do that again, they restrict your account for 90 days. You cannot buy, you can sell, but you can't move. You can't pretty much you're done trading for 90 days.
You can't buy, sell the same stock.
Yeah.
But
No,
if
you can only sell for 90 days. They restrict your account.
oh,
So
well, that
you
doesn't
can't
do
buy.
them any good.
It's a bullshit rich person law that exists in the market, and I think it's junk, but whatever. And I fully expect that they're going to raise those margin requirements probably in the next year or two as well.
What is that on
Another way,
Robinhood?
it's on every brokerage. Like if you get flagged as a pattern day trader, so that's 4 day trades within 5 days, you'll get locked out of your account. It's like FINRA requirements. I guess it's hit the brakes, cool down kind of measure.
Oh, so that's buy and sell 4 times in the same
Yeah,
week.
unless
The
you have
same
Yep.
20,
stocks.
unless you have
hmm
25 grand in your account, I really don't think that's unreasonable. You shouldn't be
Yeah,
day
and
trading if you have less than 25 grand in your account. Is what. But I don't even
that's what
but I don't day trade. So
that's what they're trying to tell you, right? But like,
Hold on, is it
I don't know.
25,000 cash or $25,000 in
In your
value?
margin,
it
in your
matters.
brokerage.
It matters on Robinhood. I've heard that it's 25 grand in cash. I mean, in securities. So you have to
Yeah.
own securities 25 grand, and then you can day trade with other money. But if you
Right.
slip below owning less than 25K um in stock, then they'll pull your shit.
The other
It has to be $25,000.
and they'll close positions for you to meet your margin requirements. So that was my dilemma. It's like I don't want to close positions. I just want to figure this out and clear it up. So I had to call Robinhood and sort it all out. There is another alternative. You can switch to a cash account and just go solid cash, but it restricts your daily deposits and things like that until you're so like whatever your limits are for depositing. That'll neck that down until your funds actually clear, which could take a few days.
Which is why these guys will get cash accounts and then they'll play like SPX or zero DTEs, because they can options only settle in a day, so you just have to wait a day for that money instead of two.
Yeah, and it's an odd I wasn't expecting to do that, but I took a position and then I went to close and I was like, oh fuck, I'm at my day trade requirement and I wasn't gonna let that thing run all day because I was up close to 200% on it on a commons play. So I was like, I'm gonna squash it. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna see what happens. And something in my mind kind of remembered some of this stuff a little bit. So I was happy for for the one time out, but if you haven't done it, there is a get out of jail free card. Not financial advice, obviously.
Sorry, no, 100%. And then you can also be on a cash account, um, which clears that as well. I mean, I just don't think it's that bad of a rule.
The problem is that the cat with a cash account, like I had this thing called a good faith violation once. And what happened was I had deposited $250 in one morning, and this was in pre-market, and they let it fly in pre-market, and it said that it cleared. My buying power was $250, and I spent that $250, and I immediately, like 30 minutes later, sold those shares, and then I had like $350, and then I took that $350 and bought the same thing again on the dip, and then went and sold it. And then the next day it told me, or yeah, the next day it told me I had a good faith violation.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to read into that one because I have considered like switching a couple of my brokerages to cash
Well, yeah,
accounts so I can take some like heavy volatility.
yeah. And what that basically means is that you used cash. You didn't settle the trade. Uh,
The money didn't
before
settle.
using that code. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're worried that you're going to take that $350 and then lose it, and then they're not going to be able to go back to the bank. The bank's going to say, "No, we didn't even. This dude doesn't even have $250." I think that's what the issue is with that, right?
Yeah, I
So
had
you
one.
didn't spend any money, and they still owe you $100, and they never got their $250.
Yeah,
I
it
think
didn't.
that's why they call
It
it a
didn't.
good faith violation.
I know someone who, like, I think their limit for deposit. They didn't have it in their account, but their limit for deposit was like 5 grand, and so they used that. And then, of course, they got instant margin, and they bought something, and it went actually in their favor. And at the end, they were like, "Well, you never got that 5 grand." And he was like, "Okay." And so they just took the 5 grand, but he got to keep everything else though.
Oh, jeez. I don't
So
get
he
that
bounced the
lucky.
check.
Basically,
Yeah.
And it worked out. They
Luckily
hardly
for
ever
him.
do. Yeah, that's right.
But he did run into margin, right? You said that.
Oh yeah, they came in and they were like, "Yo, this didn't clear, so we're taking your $5,000. How dare you?"
Shit.
But he had made I think it was like 50% off that. So I mean, he took $2,000, 2,500 off the table. Oh,
Ted, did you have something you wanted to add, brother?
No, just wanted to say Happy New Year to you guys, and um, just curious, what are your guys' thoughts going into 2024 here on market caps that are less than 100 million? Do you personally? I feel they're just gonna get hit hard with, especially with all the financing that they have to renegotiate with all their debts that they've been taking on during this really good time. Do you guys see, have you guys thought about that at all? I know, I'm not sure if you guys have a lot of exposure to those type of companies.
I I
I don't
think
even
it's
look at
like
market caps.
What's that?
I don't even look at market caps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just me. But you should not do what I do. So if you
I
do,
think
you're
it
setting yourself up for failure.
I think it's an application of like, are you buying and holding and then sitting long term? Like, and I kind of had to like do this a little bit, like readjust, go, how long am I going to hold something? I think small caps and micro caps are going to see probably a little bump into things just because most of them have been beaten up so badly, the ones that have stayed listed. And that comes out of this, speculation that funding always kind of rotates and, that they cap out their profitability in large caps and then funding starts changing. And talking with a handful of other investors, some of the small caps, if they're profitable and they're in the right ranges, could probably see a pretty large upside in growth over the year or the next coming years. But it all kind of depends on like market atmosphere and if these equity companies want to like take the risk and push into smaller markets, because I think what you run into with smaller market caps is you're always going to have some kind of fundraising going on and like balancing the books to do what they're going to do. And it's, I think a lot of retail has kind of learned what happens when you go through fundraising and dilution, and a lot of companies got punished.
Oh, yeah. And I totally agree with that assessment. It's one of those things, the ones that do have revenue, I feel there's certain paths that they can take to survive. Those that have zero revenue and basically their management is just throwing shit out, saying, "Well, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're do," but nothing ever happens. I think those are the ones that are going to get really burned this year.
Right, and there's a lot of tickers that's happened with, you
Yeah.
know, it's rough, because you invest because you want to, you're growing on their ideas with them, and you're excited about it, and then at
Yep.
the same time, do you hold it in like to the depths of Mordor, and you got to destroy the ring with you personally, to get rid of this stuff, and some of these companies do well if they can kind of buck the revenue, the cash burn, and then start lining up the contracts. Some other companies, they don't do so well,
Right. Yep.
and it's like fluffy or
Hopefully they'll beat a
I
whole
think
bunch
he's
of them
Robin.
down. Hopefully they'll beat a whole bunch of them down, and then I can scoop them up after the spring.
Yeah.
and then I
Wait
can
a
clean everyone's clock again in the summer and early fall, and then I don't have to do anything in November and December. I can just go to the Bahamas.
There you go.
now, well, wait a minute. Now, what's the what isn't beaten down right now? That I mean, in the small caps at least, right? Like, where are these overvalued small caps? I'd love to know of one.
Well, that's the one I was talking about, that calf ETF thing. Those small caps have been doing really well over the past year. Now, if you go to calf and you look at the ones that they're investing in, and it'll tell you their return on each one, then you can see those small caps. Now, they might be a little bit over 100 million, they might be 80 million, whatever the case. But uh, if you look at that calf, that's what I'm looking at for the first couple months in 2024. If they all start to get beat down, then I'm going to wait until I see that calf bottom out, and I'm going to try and get back into that, or pick some individuals that I think have potential after they've been beat down. But I'll no longer buy at the top. I mean, that's just nonsense. Yeah. Hopefully,
And
I
that's
try not to buy at the top.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too as I reassess everything, especially in that section of the stock environment. I'm holding on because I have a feeling it's going to get pushed down more as we get into the second quarter, and then that's where I'm going to try to make some entries. That's just my assessment, though. I
Well,
don't.
watch that calf, CALF.
Okay.
And I mean, it's been on a 5 year uptrend, right? Or a 1 year uptrend, whatever you want to call it. And then at the same time, if we start to see that decline, then we know some of those are some of the better small caps. And if they're getting beat down, then keep an eye on some of them and see if is this company profitable. Well,
Yeah.
if it's profitable, it'll come back. Try to find a bottom on it,
Yep.
or
Dude,
try to find a bottom on calf. That's what
I
I'm gonna do.
probably spent an hour today just kind of screening small caps and looking at like break even, profitability, or the chance to push, positive EPS. Um, and there is quite a few that are really close, but I'm gonna have to read more into them. I can't just spit random pickers out. But there's a pretty big window for these companies that are sitting at break even and kind of have that upward curve in their financials.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I'm gonna have to screen like hardcore and then pick like my top five.
Yeah.
And
When you
and
when you do that, look at. I don't know if you use this as an indicator or not, but do you ever, when you get down to those five, do you also add in the RSI 14 to see if they're like in the 30 to 40 range
I
on?
I will I will if they're taking some like momentum. And like RSI and MACD only really mean anything if you have volumes, right?
Right. Yep.
And for me, like if it's not there, your RSI is gonna chill. It's just gonna sit at that 30 or just above 30 and not do much. And then it doesn't take much, but maybe like a $2,000 entry, and it spikes that thing way up above 70,
Right
and it
on low
and it
volume.
and it makes no sense. But at 70, it doesn't bother me with low volumes because it could mean that there's a lot more volume coming in,
Yep.
and that first little spike on that RSI is kind of like, okay, like something might happen, and you might get like a good little gamma squeeze or a little pop on something.
Yep.
But I won't apply them until I see some serious volumes, because they're probably going to be sitting down at that, like, undersold or overbought. It's just going to sit in this limbo area until something actually happens.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same page. That's where I'm looking, just trying to figure out. And then a lot of my stuff, and again, I'm new to this group, but the overall outstanding shares, does that impact your decisions?
100%. I mean, for
Uh,
me, for the way that I trade, I'm much more concerned about how many shares are in the game than I am of what the market cap at that point is.
mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of why I like AMC right now, is because 250 is a good one. We saw that with BBig. I think like if you're under 100, I like that game.
Sure. Yep.
You know, like, no
Yeah.
matter what the market cap is, under 100 million shares is,
Yeah.
a beauty. That's where
Well, and the
GameStop's
only
gonna
reason
start.
I add in market cap is because once you get to a certain point, it's all about algorithms. It gets into this algorithm, for example, in a small cap sector. So it's not necessarily more heavily weighted on the actual retailer versus it getting into an algorithm, and then you start getting in your institutional small institutional holdings and stuff like that, which takes those shares off the table normally because they have to hold them for a certain period of time. That's the only reason I put in market cap, is to see if they're already in the algorithms or not. But if it's like a lot of these I've been looking at over the last 3 weeks, where individuals will send me over and say, "Hey, check this one out." It's it's like 95% retail, and that's kind of scary to me because one thing comes out and it can go the opposite way in a fast way.
Well, I
Well, it
mean, it's
depends
kind
on
of,
who the retail is too.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
but it's also, I mean, it's kind of like we were talking about HPCO earlier. I mean, you're talking about a stock that has usually less than like 50,000 volume per day. And so you get an announcement like Snoop Dogg, but you get an announcement like they lost all funding, and that's all of your liquidity is
Yeah,
gone,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it doesn't take much.
yeah. And no, I appreciate it. I'll just go back on mute. I just wanted to say, wish everyone a happy new year. Like I said, I'm new to the group, so I just like to listen in and get bounce stuff off you guys. I've been doing this for a long time in the large cap, mid cap stuff. Um, and over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been kind of dabbling in this smaller stuff, but just like to hear everyone's thoughts. So I'll go back
Here's the
to you.
question, Ted. Here's the question.
Yeah.
Did you buy Sea-Doo last week?
No, I did not. No,
Oh, Ted. We were talking about it. We were
I
making
didn't.
jokes. It was awesome.
Unfortunately, yeah, past performance is not indicative of future success. So,
It's
however,
not
everyone
indicative
should.
of what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's right. But Ted, no, you're always welcome, man. I love when you come up and join the conversation. I mentioned that to Serfdom actually not too long ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we like new people.
No, and people who like to talk stocks, like,
Yeah, if you have an
the
idea, you
whole
have something.
market. Yeah.
Yeah,
Heck
and
yeah.
well, there's a lot of individuals that I come across that I'm in. I converse with them every day, and they're like, "Hey, check this one out." I'm like, well, "What do they do?" Well, I don't know. Well, what's the share structure? I don't know. Is there revenues, expenses? I have no idea. I just got in it. I'm like, okay.
That
I'm
No,
could be a
hundred
recipe
percent.
for disaster.
I'm just like, are you guys serious?
Oh,
That
I'm very serious.
I'm
that's
just
how.
like, it would be almost like me. I just want to like put a sign up at the front of my door and say, I'll just take your money because that's what you're doing is you're just.
Yeah, there's a lot of retail that are getting smarter, but there's a lot that are still kind of doing stuff like that, and it's a frustration. You just want to like shake them and yell at them, and no matter what you do, whether you conversate with them in a tweet, until they see what happens, they're not going to give you any credit. And we got to give a lot of the guys credit. Some of these bear accounts come in, they're 100% right, because you rode a rocket, and then you're holding at high levels, and then they can see the revenues smeared everywhere, and they're like, oh yeah, that's easy
Yeah.
money for me.
Yep.
No, 100%. And actually, Ted, if you can stay up with us for a little bit, we were talking about a discussion earlier today that I thought would be a good one, that kind of affects all cap, right? From your small cap all the way up to your big cap, and that's the subject of AI.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I think the big debate that we were having is AI hype now, or is AI hype when it actually starts producing something that is tangible to big business. What's anyone's thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I actually, I work in the finance industry, and I do a lot of on the mortgage side of stuff. And the company that I work for, and I've seen this in the last 6 to 12 months. We are now offering products. Uh, about half of our products are all based on AI and how the consumer reaches out to us through computer generated discussions, and how we are taking, like, we have this analytics team now, couple 200-300 people. All they do is they look at bots of what the conversations are taking place and how we tailor the products to those discussions. And within the last 6 to 8 months, 40% of our products are now being based off of that type of dialogue that we're having with consumers. So I think, just based on my experience, we're still in that mode. Kind of like, the analogy I like to use is when the cell phone came out. You know, the consumer wants to get it really fast, and it was so freaking heavy. And I don't know how old you guys are. I'm almost 50, but the first ones that I ever saw, there was this big bag you had to bring around, and then it had a phone with an actual cord on it, and you had to plug it into your car cigarette. It was crazy. And just the
I had a
amount.
bag phone, Ted.
That's awesome. Um, but how I'm looking at it. It's very, very new, and I don't think the market. I know, like, a lot of JP Morgan, Bank of America, they are heavily involved in the testing out of this. And when you have shareholders to the extent of what they have, they're always looking to reduce expenses, and that unfortunately is going to come with personnel that they have. And the personnel that they do keep, there has been a very large transfer of jobs over to India, Philippines, and Thailand. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of that or not, but in the finance industry anyway. So I can see it coming. AI is going to be here for a long time, and I just think it's still in that kind of test phase. And that's just my personal opinion. Could be totally wrong, but I think it's in its infancy. Kind of like similar to Bitcoin. A lot of people don't understand it yet. It's been out since 2009. Um, and it's just one of those things that it's I know AI is going to be around for a long time because the cost cutting measures it's going to provide for all these large institutions. And unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of jobs lost. But that's how I see it happening anyway.
So wait, there's a job out there where I could just review and then report on AI conversations,
Yeah,
adding my context. Oh man,
there's
that's
analytic teams across large institutions where they are going in, and the bots are taking these conversations, and then they take words that are consistent throughout every communication, and then they formulate that into these algorithms and formulas that they put in, as far as like products of what to offer. Because the whole thing with large financial institutions, once you get a customer in, now you want to start doing the add-on products. And because the more they get with you as far as products, the less they'll leave unless they have a really bad experience. So the whole goal is to listen into these conversations, but also they're putting these consistent, like these words that keep coming up in conversations, and they're able to formulate like a, it's crazy how it's going, but we've seen success in it. And I'm not even part of the department. They're just always reading
Ted,
that
are you a
stuff.
robot?
No,
No.
no. But basically, what he's saying is like he's
No,
like,
I get it. I
you
was
know,
just making a joke.
everyone keeps saying they love free checks. So maybe if we found this way to offer this package of free checks. I'm saying something that most banks offer anyways. But something of that, and then they'll be like, okay, well then you can offer that in the this form, and that is pretty interesting. I mean, I know AI is really revolutionizing and killing a lot of jobs of like customer service
Yeah.
because people will go to websites and they'll just have full on conversations with that. I think Uber fired all their people in Thailand, and they went to an all like AI kind of system for
Yeah.
reporting things.
Yep. And we are actually in the infancy of that. I think we're on 2 months in where we have a customer service group. It's all AI based, where they're communicating online, and it's just a bot replying back on how the customer is asking questions, and then what we have put into there as far as what type of fees, like business hours, all like anything you can imagine. Just like when you go on Chat GDP, when it comes back with an answer, that's what our customer service. A small portion, they're doing a pilot on it, and it's been working out very well, which is crazy to think.
No, 100%. I mean, I hate the telephone ones. Like, I think one of my services, like I don't know, like electric company or something like that, they have an AI system and it drives me absolutely wild. Like, I want to kill it every time. But yeah, no, the application is getting better, I mean, which is unfortunate, especially as we are a service economy.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
you know,
And you think, when you think about it, because every conversation that it's taking in, it's generating more real time, real life responses. Like it learns from all the stuff that's gathering into this bot, and it's almost like you're creating something that it's learning from itself, and it's gathering more and more, and it just keeps making it more real life. It is, it's scary, and at the same time it's kind of fascinating to see how fast it's coming along. Kind of like your internet, you have the 5G, and um, I remember, heck, my first computers back in, oh gosh, 96 was all dial up, and you had to wait forever to get on, where now, I mean, it's just all the technology, it's just going to take over. It's crazy. I probably put everyone to sleep. I'll just go on mute now. I was rambling there for a while.
you did
No, that's all
no,
right, Ted. No
that
worries.
that was all great intel. I mean, it's better intel than we would get from talking to a Web3 developer about their newest project.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is affecting. I mean, it definitely is having its effect. I'm just wondering if now is the time or is it all speculation? I mean, because it's definitely but it's like computers back in the day, right? The computing was this great technology, but then it was like, well, how is it going to be, dispensed to the people? And
Right.
and I think Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were those two people that brought the computers into the homes when people thought that computers would never be in the homes, and
Yep.
AI is just next. I mean, we already have the foothold of Siri, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I remember when CNN said on, or C-SPAN maybe back then, said that the internet was a fad.
Right. Trend. It's just a trend.
Yeah, it's a trend, all right, like a 1,000-year trend until they come up with something better.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know how it gets better than that, but I'm sure they can. With that said, guys, I got to get up early in the morning. I have to go to bed. I've been burning it too much lately, but I'll be up early and yep, DM me if you got anything good.
You know what? That was one thing before you go, Mark, and I won't keep you much longer.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
We'll end right at whatever 8 o'clock is for me.
10
Um,
here.
10 there. Um, but I was thinking that, do we want to transition our shows till like Thursday night? Because then we can at least meet earlier. I know it's pretty taxing for everybody on the East Coast, and then our BVIC calls have seemed to just start heating up once we end this show to transition. So I don't know if that's something to think about. Maybe I'll throw up a poll for everybody.
Yeah, think about it. I don't have any issue with that. Thursday
Well,
nights.
what was Finn saying into the weekends as well? Like we can kind of collect our thoughts and then come into the market like Sunday nights.
Well, I might transition the BVIC show, because what I might do is then do Tuesday nights us, Thursday BVIC, and then Saturday. I think I want to do like a day either during the show on Saturday or maybe Sunday.
A recap of the week or what to watch for next week.
Exactly.
Yep.
Or whatever we want to talk about. I mean, then we can also have random times as well, but I do want to
Yeah.
have some kind of schedule for the 2 views that we've gotten tonight that were probably people in our room. Uh, but I think we'll get the YouTube going along though. But but maybe, yeah, maybe we'll keep Tuesday nights, because I like Tuesday and then Saturday. It kind of breaks up the week.
What and I'm trying to balance this. Like I can run the space on my PC or I can like just AirPods and then run it on my phone while I'm sitting here, but I don't want to get like that echoing effect of having like both up at the same time or getting dropped off.
Yeah, that's not a fun one. That's not a fun one.
Yeah, so that I don't know. Because I've pulled it up while we've been up and like stayed on the phone and then had both going and then I'm getting like this weird like robot echoing as well.
Like reverb back in the day, huh?
Yeah,
Not to
pretty
mention,
much.
we don't want to artificially pump the views. We want
That's
it to
right.
organically grow, right? It doesn't do
No,
us any good if we
100%.
get 10 viewers every week and it's just us 10,
Oh,
right? Then
100%.
then it's not. We know that it's not really working. Or if it's me watching it 63 times during the week, you're like, oh, we had 63 views. I'm like, no, that was me. I just put on repeat.
I just put it on. I do that with my meme videos all the time. It's like some of them have like 30 views because I've watched them at least 5 or 10. Um, it's pretty bad. I, but in any event, yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah, it's something we'll look into. I'll talk with MDS about it as well. I He's probably just like, I'm sick of every Tuesday. You said you were going to give me a holiday break, so I'll give it to him.
What's did he if you guys gave him a solid date for his yearly trading like call outs like because
Well,
I know that
you
I
mean his
know he's been
challenge account?
yeah I know he's been building some stuff up.
Well, I mean, that's one topic we can talk about. I do want to let Mark gracefully get out of here, so Mark, you can definitely drop down. But thank you always for coming up.
Yep. Thanks, you guys. I just got to get some rest. I haven't had much sleep lately.
No, 100%. I will talk to you probably in like 3 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, please.
Later, Mark.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess we can wrap up on that as well. I mean, he's doing a challenge. I do a challenge as well. So I mean, that's the account that I talk about is my meme stock account, which is just like kind of like what he has. I think I had a little more in it. It was basically what everything was left in my account after I transferred all my GME out, and I've been building that and then losing a lot of it. over the last 2 years. But
Yeah,
it's like, it's just something to play with and to like take the more riskier things while, the bulk of my investments are going into other more long-term things.
yeah, yeah. I was just wondering if there was like an actual date when he's gonna come up and show what he's considering, and
Oh, I mean,
but
it's gonna
he's
go. I
been
think it's
sick.
gonna.
Didn't he get COVID? He said
He
he got
did.
COVID.
He did.
Yeah,
I should
so
check in on him.
yeah.
Um, but what was I gonna say? But no, I mean, I think it's gonna keep going because he's gonna every week gonna talk about it. Like I talk about my plays every week. It'll
Yeah.
be, and he'll probably give better updates, and then you'll start to hear probably my totals on this account. Maybe not. I mean, I'm sure he will because we all know that he put about 1,000. Mine has about like probably now. God, let's see. I'll go on the record with him. Let's see. This play account has about 1,300.
Okay. Well, I'm full port in whatever you guys are talking about.
Well, I mean, that's the way I do it with Mark. And it's
Yeah.
funny, Mark, Miggy actually, he had this post once. He said, I think he said, he's like, I'm pretty smart. I just don't explain good. And I think he explains perfectly well. He just explains like you would if you
Yeah,
wanted to
like
convey that information to someone.
yeah, like layman's terms. It's like,
Exactly.
and that's kind of the approach with things, because you know, like you can break down all the technicals and all this odd stuff, and most of the time it's over people's heads.
Exactly. Well, and yeah, he's from a school environment as well,
Yeah.
multiples. So, but and that's the funny thing is like he is actually like he knows his math, even though people will try to say that he doesn't. He's one of the only people that'll tell me about a stock, and I'll instantly start. I'll one take a look at the chart, but then I will instantly start trying to like with a very very small percentage of my portfolio. Um,
Start sneaking
Start
in on it.
averaging, yeah, just to see what
Yeah.
happens. Like I'll at least get a tracking share, and then if I see a good like entry price, I
Yeah.
might scoop it up, or I might scoop it up and then it'll instantly go down. That's kind of what happened with HPCO.
Yeah. I kick myself because I was so close to buying frickin' CD, and then literally the day I'm like, oh, I should check on it. It's going absolutely nuts. It's like, oh yeah, they split, and then they've got a rocket launch coming up. I'm like, go and check it out. I'm like, because that was a good runner.
But
That was a good call.
in the morning, you must have did pretty well. I mean,
I've had a lot of like bangers into the last few weeks,
you know,
and I've got to probably throw out a little more of like my high volatility like speculation trades. But most of these, like, we can't talk about them until something happens, right? Like, or there might potentially might be something that happened, but like, so I went on like poll two weeks ago. Today it ran again another 100% out of the blue for no reason. So it's retesting like recent highs. And then there was that other oddball ticker. I can't even remember the name of it, but that thing ran like 2,000%. And the only like I see this stuff come up and it's accumulating. There's nothing there. There's no volume. There's no rhyme or reason other than the fact that somebody might want to cash out their notes, and through multiple different venues I see this stuff, but or it just stays there or it can go down. And like moving on them, sometimes you got to just kind of keep them in your watch list and see if it actually happens. And have like once a week conversation. You can't just throw out random tickers. Like my current watch list is like 60 different tickers.
true. No, I mean definitely.
Yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
know.
I mean, my thing is really more about honing in. Like, so I'll look and I'll see what plays. So I mean, like, I haven't talked about MCOM, although that's on my watch list, but it's not something I would ever recommend anyone put any money into. Um, I more watched MCOM out of a morbid curiosity because I hate the CEO and I think it's hilarious.
Is that the
Um,
scooter guy?
yeah, yeah.
So Frank got on a call with him and kind of chewed
Oh,
him out in like Italian lingo for
oh,
being a shitty.
dressed him down. Oh, I know.
I've been laughing with Frank in the background. You know, it was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, Frank's a character too. You know, but if you like OTC plays, Frank's the guy.
He definitely likes his OTC plays.
Yeah. Well,
I will agree there.
yeah, but is overall he's a pretty good guy, and I think he's got good intentions. But
I know, 100%. I like listening to Frank every now and then.
uh,
I like talking with him too. He's pretty
yeah,
funny.
I pulled
Although it's
back
funny,
off the Soup's crew just because those guys were getting ridiculous and kind of malicious with certain people and certain friends that we have in the groups, you know. But
why? Who, me?
no, just like they went after Josh the other day, and just like ridiculous stuff, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to
Oh, they
see this in my feed all the time.
hold on. They went after Josh. Really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Well, and
Soups did?
not Suits, but one of his little cronies, you know. And it was
Who?
just T. What's his name? And he's still playing on tattoo like calls, but I can't remember his name. It don't
He? No,
matter.
no, no. I know the guy you're talking about, but I didn't know that he was a Soups associate. I didn't think that was the case.
He's in there quite often. I mean, Suits
Okay.
isn't like the worst guy, but hearing stories from like, especially you know, Mr. Rick's, like the doxing and the stuff in the background that you don't really hear about. And
I have.
that's not the first time I've heard that he's done that stuff. And I'm not gonna condone doxing accounts and totally just harassing people. You know, it's
I
one
can.
th-
I.
it's one
I
thing
can
to call
agree.
out a burner, but like you're going at a personal level now. Like, come on, dude. So
I no, I agree. I mean, although I mean, all right. So I've walked the line with both Trash Panda and Soups. I didn't dox either one of them. However, I do habitually post. Um, I do habitually post memes with a face that may or may not be his. No one's really sure. I just
yeah,
know it irks him that I keep posting it, so I do it.
he's got multiple burners that I'm aware of, but I know that he's still trading a lot of this stuff. And I think how it comes up on his like little target list is that he's been in there. Like he's been involved
Wait
in
a
the
minute.
stock.
Wait a minute. What? He has multiple burners. I think you're gonna have to update the Care Bear compendium, my friend.
Well,
For Soups, I'll send you the
I
thing.
think Gob is a burner of his.
Gob.
Yeah,
Gob
like
McGob.
I think so, unless I'm
Wait a minute.
wrong, because it
Yeah, but
sounds a lot like him. It's the
don't they
keyboard.
speak at the same time?
Yeah, but he's got that freaking soundboard stuff going on, and
You might not be wrong on that,
it's
actually.
his freaking keyboard that gives it away because that thing is from 1957 and it's just loud as shit. But if you listen to Gob Macabre and you listen to one of his spaces, and then you hear that keyboard going on both ends, It's speculation, but I'm almost certain that God's account is one of his burners.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to some of
Throw
McNaugh's.
Throw Corey with a K on it. He'll find it.
Oh, I know Corey. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You
No,
know,
I mean,
how I
who's
found that
crazy?
account when he was talking about that video that popped up. I didn't know that existed, but that Trader Girl video, Amy.
Oh, the one that, yeah, the one that I posted.
I did not know that people disliked her as much as I do. And, and when that video came up, I was like, "Oh, great! This is awesome." But
Which video? The video
the
of him rapping?
yeah, the Prince of Bel Air dub.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Dude, Corey's got a whole like dope storyline right now. Actually, since we're just kind of BSing and talking about Twitter stuff, um, or X stuff. Corey has this whole like line. Like, I don't know if you were watching his page, but supposedly there was a artificial intelligence named Albie who was taking over his page for Corey,
Really?
and I mean, I mean, I don't know. It's there are videos how real Albie is. I couldn't tell you, but doing that, um, Albie, while Corey was away, Albie um,
Release.
awakened a Malachi or something like that. I forget what
Yeah.
the full name of it is. And that has taken over, and that has released information on Caius. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's in the Caius Malej. Caius
Yeah,
Malej.
I've seen the name floating around. This is
So,
what I like. What Corey's doing is he's pinpointing this stuff down to like nefarious actors, like in the social scenes, and like as much as we don't think that's happening, it's happening pretty often. And I'd like to see what his spreadsheets look like because I got a couple other like edgy accounts that are pretty suspect and kind of want to put them as well and see what he
is one
comes
of
up with.
is one of their names Vinegar Donut?
Vinegar Donut has been one of those ones that's always popped up. I mean, that one's almost obvious that there's multiple accounts attached to that one.
Oh, 100%. He's got court. I mean, you haven't looked at my Care Bear compendium, have you?
I haven't. That's on your Santa account.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't picked through it quite yet because I didn't know that you had that account. I thought it was something that you were like building on the side, and then when I went picked through it, I got some pretty good laughs.
That's pretty funny. There are some good stuff in there. I mean, especially I used to do some really funny stuff. Like I would post like a picture of Charlie or an AI generated picture of Charlie Munger, and I think it said I had it say, "My exit strategy is Uranus." That's
Oh my god!
but yeah.
But
So basically, the rundown on this compendium is like I've got three different sections. There's Meet the Care Bears, where I highlight like individual actors. Like there's a one for Soups, one for Algo, one for Fud Daddy, um, one for Blend.
have you gotten Pump
Uh,
Killer yet?
Pump Killer. Oh
Yeah,
no, I don't really. I've never heard Pump Killer talk. I knew he was questionable.
it's
Um,
like
but
he kind of runs around with like the Trader Zero bunch a little bit, and like he's not necessarily wrong, but he definitely plays that Care Bear role that you're talking about.
exactly. And this is just a way for like, so I mean, anyone can comment and put whatever they know about that person if they want to do that publicly, or even sign on to a burner and put that information, put whatever information and link
Yeah,
whatever
like
sources.
my my account is my only account on Twitter. I'll fight with people, whatever. You want to fucking do that, whatever, we can do that. But like, I don't play burners too much, but I have in the past, long time ago. One thing
Well, I
I'd
mean,
like to kind of bring up for like maybe one of these spaces is a heavy like speculation and conspiracy of certain things that are going on in the background, like especially with the crypto environment.
I'm down. No, I mean it's getting interesting out there. I'm down for some. I mean, I'll put definitely. Uh, I'll put MDS on it, and
It could be pretty fleeting in like a pretty long space, but I've been digging into a lot of that stuff for years on end after getting smoked playing. I mean, I've been in crypto. I ran like crypto runs in 2017 back in its heyday, and then like you start seeing similar things and certain things pop up. It's we're running into a whole nother different generation of people that are, you know, falling into, NFT traps, crypto traps, goofy ledgers, pancake swaps, and half these companies have been brought up for securities fraud. So I think it's a good section to kind of dive into. We may not have answers, but
well, right, and and everything with FTX too, and only to then now allow ETFs. I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, I do think we should be talking about this pretty soon.
you're talking less than a week's time where we're going to be hearing about this stuff, and FTX was released on all these charges. I call complete bullshit on all that. There's only like 3 politicians that ever paid any of that money back to you as well.
Oh yeah, no,
But
100%. It's no, this is the way. This is the way that they, write off those losses is that they're gonna make these ETFs and then crash crypto probably.
yeah, there's a few crypto accounts that I follow that like have been, attached with like Michael Saylor and all these guys, like um that talk about this big old sweep on crypto. So I think it's to be untrustworthy still, but I've heard guys calling out 15,000. Obviously, it's not doing that right now, but of course, you need a pump to dump into. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Currently, I don't have any any crypto or coins. So
All right, man. Well, I don't have any. I mean, I do have crypto. I just either don't have my codes or haven't bothered to look for my codes or
yeah,
logged into my accounts. So I'm sure
yeah.
I have a Coinbase account that was wiped clean. Uh,
I don't know. You might want to check it.
yeah.
You never
The
know.
thing is, like, I have a MetaMask, but I mean, I'm in SHIB. I think SHIB is gonna be. I think it's so stupid. Um, but I do think that it's a better coin than um, what is it? What's
Dogecoin.
the other Dogecoin? I think it's way. I think it is actually is better than Doge. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. There's a lot of complexities there that they're building on a lot of different venues, and yeah, I think it's I think it's here to here to play with, you know. But yeah, anyways, there's
All right, man.
something
Good.
I kind of wanted to bring up, like, because we don't really dive into that stuff very often.
I agree. Let's make a note of it in the in Let's make a note of it. I'll make a note of it right now. Hold on. Oh, snap.
I'm not like crazy well versed in this stuff, but I've got a lot of friends that are crypto traders, and we'll go on for 4 hours, you know, like rambling on into, what's going on and what we think's going on. And
Well,
there's,
let me ask you, do you know anything about, or do you know anything that's going on with like Richard Hart and Pulse Network?
no, nothing as of recently. Do you have something? Because I could dig into it.
No, that's another one that I believe in the future it's probably going to be worth something, so I just don't even look at my investment in it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of heavy integration between like Bitcoin, AI software, bank ledgers, digital identity. There's a lot of things that kind of come into play, and then you can't leave out the government coins, the central bank digital currencies. But there's kind of each one has its own pathway, right? But
Right.
and there's different kinds of coins. I mean, you got complete shit coins, you got bankers coins, you've got gold standard coins, you've got pump coins. I'm not gonna say a name, but there's so
Poop
much out
coins.
there. Right, right. Poop coins. I mean, there's if you can think of it, there's a coin out there. It'll depends on what ledger it's built on, what it's trading, what the swap is. But there's still money to be made even in those markets as well.
No, I definitely think there is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see like crypto legitimized to some degree. You know what I mean? Because during the last bull run, we had a lot of scams. That's it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
and they're
understand
getting
why.
there.
But I don't understand why anyone is lured in by like a, I don't know, what was it? A
Tom Rocket.
that one I no, that one I get. That's a total meme, right? That
Right.
cannot drive the market. Um, I'm more thinking of like the Jake Paul. The is that his name? Jake Paul,
Hmm.
the
I
boxer dude.
I think,
Like
yeah.
any of his projects or the Phase Clan. Like I Because you were into are you in someone was buying the Phase Clan and they were trying to pump it, I swear. Not pump it, but they thought it was a good investment.
No, not me.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
forget
pumping
who it
crypto
was.
unless it comes out on like national news.
Well,
you know.
Phase is like a company. They're this gaming community that after going to became a corporation, and for like a brief time Snoop Dogg was attached to it for like a second.
Yeah, I briefly remember it, but that was like like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yes. I
Yeah,
mean, it's still a corporation. I mean, it's still going on. It's still a meme ticker.
yeah, yeah. There's there's a lot there, and there's a lot to like digest, and then how it affects like our current markets and like liquidity into the U.S. markets, liquidity into the China markets. Um, the speculation that MDS was kind of leading on a little bit the other day is that they move it somewhere, and there's a lot of like U.S. owned islands that are crypto friendly, but they're not incorporated America. Like they have U.S. dollar, they have everything there, but you kind of start digging in and finding all these corporations that are tied to it, and then knowing what their crypto holdings are, Bitcoin holdings are, it definitely gives you kind of this rabbit hole of like chasing down. And most of the time, it's come. come to your own conclusion, right? But it's very, very suspicious that a lot of these, multi-billionaires are all dabbling around with it.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I think there's a lot to suss right now in that. Oh god, that didn't hit, did it? Oh, good. No.
But anyways,
Yeah,
let's get.
I tried to unfollow someone while I was looking on screen.
No, you're good. But anyways,
I know I'm. I
I always
know I'm
have.
all. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I always have like a really good time with your spaces. Like, thanks for involving me. I would have just kind of put that
N-
out there. And
No, bro, it's been super good having you, man. Like I like different perspectives. I like people who aren't BS and who like to talk about stocks because
yeah,
hopefully we'll fuck around and make some money.
yeah,
Like, you
or,
know.
or we find out.
Yeah, or we find out. But you know what? I'll tell you, like I pick bangers. I never have good timing on them, like with options. But man, we pick bangers. I mean,
Yeah,
and not
there's
financial advice. Past performance is not indicative of future returns. However,
yeah, there's been a couple really good runners, and if you're paying attention, you might be able to catch a good one.
no, 100%. No, I mean, look at Mark last year when he was saying TTOO. I wish I went heavier. You know, that was a 10
Yeah,
bagger. And when you
yeah.
when you blow up 10 bagger with, 5% of your account, that's still a good return.
Well, it was last
Like,
year's Tupperware grabbed me a couple
oh,
odd, odd chunks of money. I was
dude,
like, I'll do it.
here's my thing. Tupperware came out of nowhere. And then
Yep.
everyone seemed to have it, and I didn't like how that like played out.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I charted this thing out, and I was like, all right, it's gonna start like choking off, and then sold all that off. So I had all that money that I made, and I instantly reverted to puts with like any kind of like testing of like that resistance that was there. And I was in like deep, heavy volatility, but I went out so long. I went out about like 4 months on my options, and every one of them printed 100%. And it's like that's where I kind of like I like writing puts on like unjustified movements, but trying to judge like how
the
much is
IV crush.
yeah, like how much is it gonna dive? Like I've got puts riding right now on that CCCC. That thing is rallied. I might they might go to expiration, and there's no reason. This
Dude,
company's a complete dumpster fire financially.
BB, or B big, yeah, but big, BIG, big lots, same thing. It's like, when we hit 7 or 750, I thought we were gonna drop like a rock. Of course, all my puts expire, but I was totally wrong anyways because we are now at like 850. Like
Ugh.
I can't call B big anymore or big anymore. I kind of want to get like really long dated $10 puts on it.
Sometimes like these retail guys move in and they just don't. They're still doing the diamond hand stuff, and like you kind of
God bless
expect to,
them.
yeah, you kind of expect to see some selling off and like note taking, and but then it doesn't happen, and that's why I got so nervous with like my hood puts because there's no reason for that exchange to take place, right? Like hood actually has money. And I didn't kind of calculate that into my play. I'm still in the money on him. And I think the momentum's kind of knocked out of it, but it's still in a range where I might just have to go, you know what? That's it. And I didn't make any money on the trade and move on.
I thought you were buying puts at 13.
I bought puts when it ran up to like 13. Let me look at the chart. It's like
Oh, what? But because of IV Crush, though, they're worth about as much as you
I've only
had in
got
it.
like 2 strings left. So let me look at it. So that day we talked about it, it ran after hours to like 1351, but there was no IV. They were at like 30%. So I've cashed most of those. And then I went on some lottos with like no IV, and those are still
Hmm.
deep in the money. But then I came in on that spike and bought 300% implied volatility. So I'm break even on them right now.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
so I think by the end of the week I could probably smash them. I'm out 3 weeks on those still, but
Yeah.
I've got them set up like limit order. That'll only be like a quick like 20%. But
That's all right.
the other ones are
That's
out
fine.
till like February. So
That's all right. That's all right. I'm diamond handing these. I have got $2 puts on charge point, but I've got like 6 of them. So if they go in the money, I'll be very happy. Or at least if like tomorrow it drops down to $2, I think the implied volatility on that will ramp
yeah,
those up.
I think you squashed you squashed those ones today.
Man, I really wish I would have waited till like 250, 1250. That's what
Well,
I should have really done.
you've always got till expiration, and if there's volume, all you got to do is like bid chase it to sell it out, right? Depending on how much the spread is. But I've had to do that, like force close them and then just throw them up at bid because I'm still in profit. I'm going to scrape
Right.
a little bit back, but like force close them and bid chase them until somebody else buys it.
Yeah. I
That's what I
mean,
do on like my really close, like same day entries. Like
dude,
I'll
what
wait
I'm
up.
really, oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll just wait up that last like couple-hour window and see if somebody's gonna scoop them off me.
100%. Oh yeah, no, like just throw it up, and that's what I'll do. Sometimes I'll just be like, okay, well, this is what I want out of this trade, and if I got that, I'd be happy. So I'll set like a sell price and just not watch it because I have to work or whatever. And then every now and then it'll like trigger, and I'll be like, whoa, good. I did a good thing.
Yeah, but play it safe. You can always play commons too. You aren't gonna get the same multiplication out of them.
100%. And I mean, it should be all for commons at the end of the day. But I was listening to something earlier this morning that was talking about the derivative market,
All right.
and just how that's like ruling retail right now.
Yeah, that's something in like an entire different atmosphere.
Well, and it's
And
just it's improperly, upholding the price of like SPY or some of these stocks, like you see Nvidia,
hmm
where the price is just insane compared to price to earnings, which we commonly know.
and today is like derivative market. Uh, I'll have to see if I bookmarked it, but there was a lot of volume in just option plays alone, like massive amounts of volume. I didn't bookmark it. I mean, you're talking like $7 billion worth of just derivatives today.
A lot of people place their bets.
Some have. I think it's a little early into the start of the year, coming off an all time high with Spy and a few others. But who knows? Maybe they want long on them. But that's a lot of money to push into the market just in derivatives alone, like red or black. Here we go. And comparisons in the past that puts a lot of volatility into the market as well. Somebody gets
Yeah,
wrecked and somebody makes a lot of money because there's two
dude,
sides to the coin.
I'll tell you what I really like right now is Byron. It's at a point where it's probably like if you look just at the chart, you've got to see at least a little correction. I'm
What's
probably
the
testing
ticker?
BYON. Like this is about to get be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't looked at this chart in a long time. Yeah, you got a nice bullish weekly with some kind of weak candles off the back, a little bearish, but that's going to come back to reality, and it's sitting at a known support in this range.
I mean, yeah, I mean it could jump back up to 30. Um,
Well, it'll probably try to retest that 39 from last summer.
you know,
It's going to be slow, but it, oh, let's look at it on the monthly. There's really no common gaps. Like everything's kind of filled in there. But with accumulation and momentum come in, I mean, it can close out one of these candles on a weekly and push it up $10, which would put you right at 36, which is close to testing that more recent high.
yeah. But the other thing is, I think something because I don't think there's going to be news for a little while. So I mean, I think we might see a bump, and this will start to. I don't know. It's weird because this chart is not one for like.
Charting.
Yeah, like
It's,
look at that 3 month. It was like, okay, there was. How can you even tell what trend it is until it starts to go up? There's no trend, and then it just starts to go up.
yeah,
I
what
think.
you're not seeing is like major gapping down. It's pretty, and the volumes are odd on it. But yeah, it's a tough one to kind of. I would say this thing is probably at a dip and pull up a little bit, but then you have your descending volumes. Yeah, it's a hard one to chart,
No, no,
and
it
like
doesn't. It doesn't.
charts are heebie-jeebie sometimes. You know, like you could come in and want to chart something, and you're just gonna blow that chart up. Like I
Well,
don't know
what's it?
how many times I chart something out and it does nothing compared to what I was even thinking.
Well, what's it you typically mean when your 200 crosses your 50?
Yeah, well, so you have like the golden cross, right? Is that momentum's picking up, your moving averages are picking up. Moving averages, hold on just a sec. Moving averages mean a lot if they're sustained. So you can get golden crosses and then in 3 days they're dead. But there's like I think there's like almost like 80, 90 tickers on S&P 500 alone that are all in that 200-day moving average, the 250 moving average, and which might be this major uptick that everybody's like wanting to play into a golden cross move. But you got to look at fundamentals, you got to look at the moving averages, you got to look at how much volume's coming in, and is it going to sustain? And some of these really go like parabolic. And I think adding the there's what is it? I can't remember if it's gamma positivity, like you have like certain ratings within your Greeks, right? There's one Greek in there that correlates directly to what everything's back tested on, which is the S&P 500. So S&P 500 has probably had one of its strongest runs um, in history. So that creates this atmosphere of all these golden crosses because those stocks correlate directly to S&P 500. So if it has a positive rating like a +5, it's more amped to follow the S&P 500 versus like a negative gamma rating like gold and silver and banks and T-bills and stuff like that, where if something starts pulling back, those are the things that start to take value for that day. So you have this like bigger atmosphere of the entire market kind of melting upward. And then how do you judge that? Is that because of this, algo buying and gamma rating that it's just kind of tailing the entire market, or is that real momentum? And there's so much, like I think Finn had put up that video with the Aladdin algo trader, the high volume stuff, where these computers pick this stuff up and it's not really retail driven, it's not investor driven, there's no 13Fs, it's just algo trading alone. Now, are those algo traders like trading out of that gamma rating and they're pushing volume into it just because the entire market's moving up? But
So is it gamma or is it? Let's see. What's the other ones? All right, explain to me this though. Okay, let's look at Mara. I love how we're
okay.
supposed to end this like a little while ago, but
Well, no, we can deep dive a little bit. We're both East Coast or West Coast.
right.
It's almost 9 o'clock, but
But look at this, right? So I guess it's not as bad, but June 19th for 23.50, it's $325, which represents like almost, or even if you went 23, let's say, you bought the shares currently, you probably wouldn't want to go 23 if you bought the shares currently. So you'd want to go 20, yeah,
this is what
23.50.
gets really hard with these minor companies because a lot of their money is tied directly to Bitcoin. I was kind of talking with MDS in the background
Oh,
about this
100%. Oh, it's
because,
correlated 100.
and I don't understand the connection, but what I think these companies are doing, like MicroStrategy and all, and which they took a substantial insider selling today, by the way, but like all these big mining companies, and then these companies that attach their value to Bitcoin, and they buy a ton of it. I don't know if they're leverage trading on like the derivatives market for crypto, but it almost seems like whenever they get a big hit and they the volume gets bullish and everything gets bullish with Bitcoin, almost every single one of these mining companies go on that wild spike with them. And like if I own the company and most of my investment was in Bitcoin, I think I would trade my leverage trades and dump it right back into the stock price. But how are they doing that without filing, right? Or is it eccentrically attached to Bitcoin? Like I don't understand how that connection is put together. And I might ask a few other people that I know, but everyone in these mining companies went like parabolic with this more recent spike in Bitcoin. My speculation is they're leverage trading and then just dumping value right back into their company to run the legitimate stock price up.
No, I mean, I think you're right there. I think I was more looking at that it's like a $25 stock. But I think this was just a misconception because I didn't even. Yeah, so
Well,
like if I go, so, but here's my thing is, so you look at Bed Bath and Beyond, which we were talking about earlier,
mm-hmm.
and you can buy a call, you can buy a 26.77 or a $27 call for 168. For Mara,
Yeah, let's go look at some Mara chains.
right? January
Okay.
19th at
January 9th.
23.50, you have to spend $325. How does that make any sense? Right, it's
Okay.
178% IV.
So you have, yeah, I'm looking at 178% IV, which is not terrible, but this is where I kind of detach. I'm pretty sure it's the gamma rating. And anything that's crypto, right? Because it's decentralized, it shouldn't have a gamma rating. But because this is an actual stock with a stock price, it's going to have some sort of rating. I think it's gamma. It might be vega, but you don't have like much positive correlation there. Like, um, the best example is like look at gold and then look at something that's really detached, like a micro cap, and then look at these ratings to try to understand how it's going to move. Because this is a back tested rating that's given off of the stock uh, S&P 500. That's where those calculations come from. And like something like Bitcoin, because it's decentralized, it doesn't have a rating because it shouldn't correlate with the markets, but it does. And this is like the big mystery in this stuff.
But,
Because
and it's, well, I mean, even look at those two numbers though, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
your gamma, so even if we went by normal definitions or whatever, so I mean, it does show you the difference of what, 176 versus 76
yeah,
um, IV is. And I mean, so a lot of that difference is exactly that, is that for some reason, the market implies
and
that.
I might be absolutely wrong. I might be getting them confused. It might be Delta. I'm gonna have to read more up on this before I start giving you a ton of answers. But
Well, wait a minute. So delta is the,
correlation to price movement, I believe. Let me
yeah, so it's like
look
for
this up.
every penny or every share that you buy, or every contract that you buy, they buy that many shares. So it's like, 51%. So for every contract you buy, they buy 51.90 shares for the current call that I'm looking at.
Yeah, delta is the change of auction price or premium due in the change of underlying future prices. So the delta and IV are connected in that aspect.
And then gamma is the number of shares that they buy, or no?
I think gamma is just the correlation is S&P 500. Let me look at it. Is the estimation of how much risk will change. The higher the gamma, the more delta is expected, and the change of the stock price moves. Less delta is expected to change the stock price moves. Gamma is for the highest money at your ATM calls or puts. So at the money. It gets pretty complex. And like I've really deep dove into them at times, and I've kind of pulled back from it because you can run all those numbers, and then if some volatility comes in, you can smoke your premiums pretty quickly. And a lot
Well,
of
one
times
of them,
people are playing options on high volatility. So trying to run off on mathematics basis kind of gets blown out of the water because all the metrics change when that explosion happens. I
Oh,
do
it's the
understand.
second derivative of an options price measure, so it's just the second. Okay. Delta is the speed, then gamma is the acceleration. Okay.
Right. So you got to kind of think of about it like I try to apply options in my mind like how I think about electricity. You know, you have your voltage, you have your amperage, you have your ohms, you know, and your amp load, and it's kind of the same mathematics, right? Like one affects the other. And that's like kind of the easiest way I can explain it if you know like you know electricity and stuff. It's like your volts is your flow, your ohms is your resistance, your amperage is how much punch it has, so that would be like your momentum.
Is an electrician over here.
No, I'm not an electrician. I'm just a nerd. But
Nice.
you know, but I think that like because you got to take it and apply it to something that you can understand. And then when you're just looking at this stuff and trying to understand it, you don't see it until one, you fuck around and find out, or two, you apply it to something that you try to understand.
I know one of them, and I forget which one now. I will have to look. One of them dictates how many shares need to be hedged to keep yourself uh, delta neutral,
Right.
or yeah.
Theta neutral or whatever. Yeah.
No, I think it is delta then, because
It's
delta is
probably delta.
changing, right?
Mm-hmm. Theta is
Yeah.
just your decay.
So that's exactly what it is.
I think I need to like revamp my option trading. I'm a little loose on it.
Dude, options they I mean, the chart on my options is never fun.
Yeah, you can get some pretty wild stuff. And then you can get like oddball like metrics that pop in. Like if a lot of volume rolls in, you can see your option chain multiply quickly. And the fact that there's a lot of volume in and out, but there's no way you're going to be able to sell that call or put into that because what's taking place is like algo glitches. So you might see something sitting at like
Oh,
14,000%, but there's no volume there that you can sell into.
I've made markets before, like on options, like where there's no sellers, then or there's no buyers, and so I'll be like the first buyer, but I'll be like at some ridiculous price just to make my options go like super high and make me
it,
feel really smart.
so I think the common term in the market is called spoofing. So you're spoofing
Right.
you're spoofing shares or you're
Well,
spoofing option chains,
I'm
and
not
you're
really
the
because I have the intent to buy that contract at that price. So don't like
exactly.
ever get that wrong. Like
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
meant.
exactly. And there's nothing wrong if you just want to buy more expensive shares at the ask or way above the ask. But it's funny. You can go in and actually play with these chains. Like I do that a lot where I'm like testing bottoms and testing tops. So I kind of know what parameters I need to set my my sell limit, my buy limit, or my sell limit and buy limits at, and you can play around with it a little bit. And this comes up pretty often in a lot of other spaces. Like it just mystifies people that you can take one share and move the stock price, 10, 15%. Well, what that person has done is set a limit order way outside of the ask, but the algos allowed it to go through. So you may not be seeing the actual real ask price that's there because there's a giant gap in these ask price. So if you watch like secondary, like level two trading, you see something moving pre-market, but it's only like 50 shares, I'm going to bet that it's going to return back to the original stock price at open. Now, if you see lots of like 10,000, 15,000 coming in like pre-market or after hours, that's definitely real because these algos are based off of lots of 100 because that's your option chain is 100. So if you see, 100,000 pre-market and the price is up, it's a real thing. But if you go on, you see a 40% move off of two shares, that's probably retail or a bank kind of spoofing shares and testing parameters.
100%, man. No, I'm gonna have to think about that more.
Yeah,
Like the more I play with options, it definitely is.
I've never done it, but I've definitely tried it. There's no. I mean, if they sell you the share, there's a seller at that price. So, I mean, now if you run collusion and you figure this out, and 100 people are slapping the ask way outside, then there's some, potential that you can get flagged for that. And what they'll do is they'll probably flag your brokerage and say that you have, malicious intent for the stock price, or your buying actions seem to be manipulative. Because I've known others for having these issues pop up.
100%, man. All right, man. I'm
But
falling off hardcore.
oh, you're good. But anyways, like,
All right, brother.
thanks.
No, it was a great talk. No, and thank you for being around. 100%.
Well,
It's been
thanks for the
good.
time, and I appreciate it. You guys fill up a part of my week and kind of make me test my methods a little bit too.
Hell yeah.
Like, kind of keeping me honest. And there's nothing wrong with like getting in with a group of guys and trying stuff and figuring out how to do it better.
Yeah, that's right. Fucking around, finding out. Not like because none of us are. We're all just retail traders.
Mm-hmm.
We like to get some DD. We're not that deep. I mean, we do. We haven't gotten deep into the DD though yet. But I mean, a lot of it's just trading, and then and the DD evolves over time. It's like Bed Bath and Beyond. I was talking about Bed Bath and Beyond, or not Bed Bath and Beyond, but Beyond Overstock.
Mm-hmm.
Since it was 15, I think. And the only time I ever made a good sell was the other day when I sold like the last like majority of my shares for like at 28. Not even, and it was like the last bit of my shares, except that for the I
I
still
ran
have some just for
I
tracking.
ran that
But
stuff so heavy into 2021. It was the glory days of just buying stuff, and it just keeps going up.
oh
But
yeah,
I was in heavy on Overstock.
Overstock. I mean, it's a great little ticker, and
Well,
I think it's got more to go.
there's a lot of attention on it with some pretty big like FinTwit guys, and it when it gets violent, it happens quickly.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I've
Who are the
seen it come
FinTwit
up, and
guys?
I've seen it come up multiple times. I'm not going to name drop, but I've seen it come up multiple times with some pretty large accounts on Twitter.
Wait,
That
beyond the bobbies?
yeah, it ends up like,
That's
I don't
interesting.
want to call them pump squads, but it almost seems like that. And then
Okay,
you
no,
get
no, no. That's what I look for pump squads all the time, so I like it.
right,
Okay, no, that's good to
right.
know because that means there's probably a correction in the future, right?
Well, and these guys have died down a lot after the whole Zach Morris stuff popped up. but I pay attention to names. I've been on Twitter for 4 years. I've been trading since I was 19, so I don't know,
Oh, damn.
almost 20 some years. I've missed a lot of good ones where I should have held on.
Right.
My biggest, like, I got two that kill me: Tesla and Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs was the horse racing and betting, and then Tesla. I just thought Elon Musk was a nut, and he still
Oh,
kind of
man.
is. And
I
I
mean,
doubled that,
yeah.
but I had 500 shares at $10.
Oh, oh, and you sold them?
I sold it at 100%, man. How often do you get
Oh,
100% out of the market?
100. Oh, no, I agree. I mean, especially if you don't like, I think if I was trading or like heavily investing into something, I don't know if that point I would though, because it's like you always hear that. It's like Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Like I could have
Well,
bought Bitcoin at two
let's go
hundred
back
dollars.
in
I never
time.
did.
Like that time frame, I think that was like 2014 when I made that trade. Um,
Yeah.
Elon was almost bankrupt. He just started SpaceX, and he was a complete weirdo in the market. Like he was just
Oh,
this autistic dude that likes to build rockets and build electric cars, and the I don't know if the boomer influence and with my dad and my family investing, but I made 100% on it and I sold out. But those
nope.
shares at the peak would have been worth like 650,000 in
Right? If you had
2021.
five, if you had five, I mean, even if because I mean, see, my the way I trade, although I say that, but I don't know if like after the first or second split, like I don't know how long. Like I know I'm gonna always probably hold GME, but
Hmm.
it's like, is it going to be the Tesla like 5 year jaunt? Maybe. I mean, I really like what's going on with GME right now. I really do think it's on track to become like the next Berkshire Hathaway.
I'm
You know,
I'm really big on smaller stocks right now, and if they're doing
the small
everything
caps.
right, yeah. And
You know,
I I keep dabbling in that, and I've held on to them a lot longer than I should have. But
right?
this cycle that's kind of pushing through, I mean, I don't even know what it's going to look like. And I've done this in the past. So where I mentioned like Churchill Downs, I mean, when I was buying that, that was like I think like $5-6 a share, and now I think it's sitting oh way up there. CHND. No, that ain't it. I haven't traded this in forever. Let me see if I can find it on Robinhood. But it's one of those things that just had a really long life cycle. Did it go private? I'm gonna have to find this. We'll dig into that later. But it was one of those
Hmm.
ones I was buying so cheap, and then I went back and kind of touched base on it. I was like last year, and it's like $200 a share now out of a 10-year cycle. Like, you know, the reason why I
Yeah.
bought it back then, I just thought horse betting was cool. Had
I was
like
like,
no
you
rhyme
know
or
what? The house
reason.
always wins. Yeah, the house always wins. Maybe it's good to be the house.
Right,
Maybe,
right.
I mean, it
And
is like if. Oh, sorry.
I've changed the way that I've traded almost every single year. And there's like times where I do really well, and there's times where I do terrible. Um, and like you really don't want to just get hit in the knees with a baseball bat every day. But it kind of feels like that's what our small caps markets have been doing over the last 2 years. And some of these companies have real business. They have real retail items. They have uh, decent earnings. There's no reason why they should be sitting where they're at. But everybody is turned into a bunch of day traders, and all they want to trade is the freaking QQQ and SPY and Tesla and Apple and all these large caps. Eventually,
Do you know anyone who's actually like? I mean, I know they all boast that they're always banging, but do you know anyone long term who's got? Because I mean, I feel you, and I feel like that there's like almost this push to put people towards
back to
you know,
fundamentals, man. Like,
not
and
necessarily fundamentals though, but they're all playing just SPY. And it's not like they're buying SPY. They are,
they're all
buying
derivatives and
options.
futures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all exactly. So it's not like
Um.
there's a large risk in what they're doing. And when you're the common like everyday trader,
Hmm.
that's that's not necessarily the risk profile that you have. I
So
mean, even I have an obscene risk
yeah,
tolerance, but
I've been in and out of SPY and option chains, and it's rough, man. It's scary. That's like trading on the minute chart stuff. Like it's volatile, and I mean, there's a lot of liquidity there, but I do
I,
know a couple people that have like dollar cost average, like SPY, Nvidia, um, AMD. These are probably like my old Wall Street buddies, the Wall Street bunch off of Reddit that just have put that in their formula. And I mean, back when they were buying this stuff, it was $200. It wasn't. I haven't even looked at freaking QQQ or SPY forever.
yeah.
Okay, well,
I mean,
QQQ is
no, that's
$400, so they're doing good. I mean, dollar cost average that stuff, but
no, 100%. And like, definitely if you like, for the majority of what you're holding, yeah, I mean, you should always be looking at this long term, like hedging, right?
I think I think those markets are so hyperinflated that it calls for a rug pulling. That is
I don't
my
disagree with you.
I'm
I
just
want to,
looking at these like we're kind of falling into the roaring 20s trading craze, and that like 90% of the volume some days in the market are derivatives
yeah, and
versus
it's gonna,
long-term grabbing and snatching.
well, 100%, and it's either gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna go, MOAS happens and then the market completely crumbles, or the market completely crumbles and then MOAS happens.
It's a scary thought, right? Like in my years of trading, like, and I wasn't that active when I was younger. I'm 10 times more active now. Like, I'm not peeling my head away from my phone for anything longer than 15, 20 minutes. But like, people don't invest long term anymore, and it has its impacts on the market. And we have crazy volatility that we've never seen before in the markets. I mean, even with just random pops and small caps, CDU could be an example of that random pop, or even Mullen after it's 10,000 or RS. But I think my legitimate fear is that we can see a major spike down if that fire sale ever goes up, and it's going to be well more than 50%. So I made a major play out of like the COVID crash, having a black swan event, and I just went straight into banks, airliners, cruise liners, and I like 4x'd everything in like 4 months. But that if you pull back to that spike, that's our last known like bottom in the overall market for any kind of black swan event. That's what freaks me out. is that there's a potential swell for some massive selling, and that's gonna shake the banks, and that's gonna shake all kinds of stuff. And I'm not saying it's all gonna crash, but it's scary. Like the
You know,
sentiment's good right now, like in the market, like oh everybody's bullish, but
it's
I
keeping
think
me
it's
up
a
at
false.
night.
I think it's a false. I think it's a false bull trend.
No, I mean, did you
Honestly,
see? I put up a meme earlier. Like, created a meme, and it was like Jerome Powell dressed as the Mad Hatter.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
when the thing, and it's like it just nothing is making sense. And no, it's just gonna. Of course, we're gonna keep rocketing up because nothing makes sense. There's no nothing. No, it's all just built on air, and
I
I
think
mean,
the
we're
banks have tried to build some type of protection in there, right? And this is why you see like crazy housing market, crazy car market, and physical assets. Like Carvana, like when the bottom fell out of that, but Carvana was probably a better trade into 2023 once it bounced off that bottom. But like, I worry about the banks and how they've set up their T bills, like because they have interest, they have option plays too. Like, if they can't pay those notes, they're either the bank takes the loss, and we see things like Credit Suisse and Evergrande kind of pop up, or they took the right protective measures for that type of market. And what I'm not seeing is a lot of like short derivatives popping up in these markets, and that's why I get kind of nervous. It seems a little more offset to like the bullish side, and that when you see that offset, that's when you should be trying to at least convince yourself that something might happen. And I think MDS is well aware of what's going on. I think we just hit our $34 million debt deficit.
oh yeah, it's going. It's.
It wouldn't be
I
a
mean,
bad idea
did
to
you see?
keep a little bacon there and throw it in an SQQ or a short position if it really starts to rumble.
Oh, I've been buying. It's actually I gotta buy some. Oh, I should have bought some more SPX, but I did pick up some last week.
Is that an it like a leverage position SPX?
It's SPXU, yes, and they pay a dividend, which I was surprised at.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of these do, and it's actually a pretty good rate, most of them.
yeah, but I
But
had so SPXU, I believe they're changing their. I think they just sent out a thing right now. It provides 3 times exposure to a
okay,
market cap.
that's 3x.
MD MDS thinks it's going to be a 2x. I don't know, or he thinks it's going to be worse. So right,
Right.
like
So this could easily spike like we saw in the kind of the COVID crash, where you see this $200 come up in a short market.
yeah, like where yeah. I mean, if you saw an extremely bad day, yeah, it would be
Yeah,
like here and then buy. This is your chance to buy Coca-Cola.
and
You know what I
the
mean?
yeah,
Like
and the hard thing because of that leverage, that's reset every day, right? So whatever you're holding at that time, so you're running off of that leverage for your dollar amount. So you almost get like a kind of a theta decay action happening in a leverage position each and every day if the market isn't doing what you think it's going to do. So you kind of start eating up a lot of losses right away until you get that really good spike on the downward that pushes that thing up. So this is why I pushed out of SQQ because I was buying this, I was loading this stuff up like a month ago, thinking, oh, it's not going to get that hot. And then I sold them out because the market just wasn't slowing down. And I'm kind of glad I did it. But now I think my timing was just off. Now I've got like kind of like a cookie jar there, like in case I see it start choking back, and that's why I'm a little hesitant to go into the next 2 weeks with S&P 500 hitting what it was 1% away from all-time highs,
Dude,
and
well,
then
you know what we didn't talk about too is what I think is a really safe store of value, but again, not financial advice, do your own DD, is IEP. And I don't know if we,
IEP.
you know, Carl Icahns, it's like IEP, Icon Enterprise Partnerships or something like that.
Yeah, this is where you were kind of pushing off into this weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was, I mean, that, and it's still, I don't think that this is corrected yet. I mean, Carl
Yeah,
Icahn owns 80% of this, like 90% actually now.
yeah, with a massive dump off that 53.
You know,
That's crazy.
well, it closed that gap, right?
that's a that's a massive gap. I think how much volume was in that sell off?
To
Ooh,
19, yeah.
57 million in one day, 23 million the next day.
Wait, where are you seeing this?
Weeble on the weekly. And then you kind of drag your
Oh,
finger
yeah,
around.
okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
And then
Yeah,
we've
you're
kind of
talking
pushed
about
into,
Jesus. I
yeah,
know
now
this used
we're,
to be a $50 stock, man. Like, was that when the Hindenburg report came out?
it might be, but this week's volume is, I mean, we're only into the first day, and it's going to be a short week. Short weeks have a tendency of being bearish, by the way, if you haven't
Yeah,
figured that out. Um, just a little pointer. But
because no one wants to do work.
everybody's sluggish, hungover. MDS is the excuse for today.
That's right.
Mark was totally trying to defend him. Like, you can't be hungover for 3 days. But
He might have been. I mean, he did mention though this morning not feeling well.
yeah,
And it's
that's that
I
thing
know.
with catching that bug, man. Like, you can feel good, and then you do a little drinking, like 4 or 5 beers can wreck you the next morning, push you right back into being sick again.
Oh, that yeah.
All right, so
All right,
weekly
man.
volumes have been like pinging around 2 million, 10 million, 2 million. This week is only at 650,000 K out of one day. So it might close at about 2 million on the weekly. But those are some pretty low volumes with an insider holding 90 some percent of the stock.
Pretty close to damn near 90%. Um, and it only continued to go up today. So,
Yeah, that might be an interesting like Hail Mary.
dude, I mean,
Oh,
I think you got upward potential there.
oh yeah, there definitely is. It's trying to
And
like
if you
trace it back to like, man, it's so choppy like on the yearly.
AMC though, I should check the gamma on those because that should be low because it doesn't really seem like AMC is connected to SPY right now.
Well, I'm gonna do some research into kind of what I was talking about earlier. That trifecta: value, growth, and dividend. And you got all three sitting at one, like highly undervalued. And I'm gonna make up like a list of like three, and we'll throw them out there, and maybe I'll add that for my long-term challenge for the year.
There we go. I like it. Yeah, I mean, because even my portfolio, like I have my long-term holds and then I have my, stuff I play, and I've been trying to lean more towards building liquidity because I do think there's a vast correction to the downside sometime in the future, and I
Yeah.
want to have capital set aside for that.
Mhm.
Um,
So I'm
but
trying
yeah,
to get my monthly dividend. I'm gonna throw into my cash account, and those are gonna be all my option plays. That's what I'm gonna try to do this
That's
year.
the way to do it. Yeah.
So it feels like free money, and then I can still take some high risk stuff.
Right.
I'm
On
not
that
all
note,
dividend, but I
no,
think it might
100%.
be fun.
I agree with it. All right, guys. That I'm going to plug it. We said we were gonna be done what, an hour and 19 minutes ago, but I am gonna pull it. Thanks everybody for coming out though, and we will
Later,
talk
man.
to you guys next time. And thank you, Surfton, for coming, man.